Wow. You guys just missed. Patrick gave us the heads up that Gamecock Larry's on hold, but he doesn't want to go on until 6:30.
Yeah, we're just
great way to start the Thursday.
Gamecock usually wakes up at 4.
Wow.
I think slightly before Ron from Lake Marion does. All right. Open to Perfect Strangers, too. How about that?
Yeah. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, I got a poll question up and rolling. Actually put it out yesterday. What a start.
You're up.
Hello, Perfect Strangers theme song. Great way to start a Thursday morning. Gamecock fans waking up in a good mood. At least I assume they are. I don't know. Bill, have you decided how you're going to approach last night's big win for Gamecock basketball against Florida?
Yeah, we'll just try and keep it even keel this morning. Even keel. Great win. Looking ahead to Mississippi State. Still 5-6, but great win. Fun time on the live stream last night. Got a couple personal messages afterwards that was one of the better ones we've done. The live stream also saw a Jay Phillips join us and a Heath Klein. So a round table debate, I guess, of 107.5 hosts with Heath.
So their webcams do work.
Well,
there was a reason that I think neither. Tim, you want to take that one?
I would say the jury is still out with Jay's his internet issues, not his internet game, live stream game, not exactly up to par yesterday. And I still never saw him like vertical. He only showed up on my screen horizontal, which was really odd. And he seemed like he might have been dragged there against his will. But I think they had fun once they got on.
Well, Jay's got kids that can figure out his technology issues.
Jay, I agree.
Yeah,
they eventually figured it out. I think it was the third try. That was the charm last night for Jay on the live stream. Patrick, what do you think? I've heard Bill's gas baggy hot take on this thing. We popped on during it. We saw Carolina was a 10-0 run right before we popped on a little live stream last night at 8 o'clock. They took the lead, and then they made the plays down the stretch, man. And this is their third straight win, I think, in Gainesville. The visiting team has won in this series now 5 in a row. It's a crazy series, and Frank Martin continues to own Mike White, and Gamecock basketball continues to confuse for me. What did you take away from last night, Patrick?
That Frank literally just does own Mike White. I don't understand it. Just consistently beats Florida with less talent year in and year out. I mean, last night was awesome. I guess depending on the vibe of everybody else, I mean, I'll probably end up being the wet blanket of today, because if you go out and get your butts kicked against Mississippi State, it's not going to mean a thing. Like, is that just where we're at? We're going to get excited about just count out the NCAA tournament. Don't really care about that year in, year out. Just enjoy each game for what it is, and then if we have a big win, then we'll celebrate that. And if not, then, it is what it is. It's Carolina basketball. I can't get excited. For whatever reason, like
Florida. All right, well, that makes my decision easy, Tim. To counterbalance that, I'll just be Mr. Positive this morning, because that was our discussion last night. Was how do you react to this win? And I said the same thing that Patrick's did, and then
you weren't Mr. Positive. I thought you'd be Mr. Positive, or Auburn. I thought you'd be. I was half expecting the same thing as the post Auburn football game. For
Bill turned a corner.
Today, yeah.
You can ask Tim. You can ask the people in the live stream how I reacted last night, and I mean,
beating Florida is not special anymore. Like, it's still cooler when if we beat Tennessee. That'd be cool, because Tennessee owns you, and you, for whatever reason, just have figured out Florida. Whatever it is that you're seeing on tape, or whatever it is, I don't know. I don't understand why Florida can't beat Frank Martin, but I mean, it was a fun game, but I mean, if we keep it rolling for another week, I don't know. We can turn the season around. Maybe it was nice to see Seventh Woods play well. AJ Lawson, he's going to go to the NBA. He's having an awesome season.
He really is having an awesome season.
So, I mean, that's just unfortunate that when everyone else kind of stinks this year, AJ Lawson's been playing out of his mind.
So what I just heard from Patrick was what we were trying to figure out last night as it was happening. What do you take away from the 72-66 win for the Gamecocks, coming off a blowout loss at Vanderbilt, coming off last week's blowout against Auburn, that loss, and then turning around and beating Georgia, the Georgia turned around and beat Auburn. It's crazy. I'm not here to pretend that I have all the answers. Would love to just help get everybody talking through this thing. Like KT from Lexington was first in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line this morning, 507, one of 4 pre-show texters this morning. So obviously it was on everyone's mind, I think, or a lot of people's mind this morning, even before the show started. Nice win from last night, KT says. Probably follow it up with a blowout loss. Woods finally looked the part last night. Beth from Lamar in as well. She says, getting ready to clock in at work. Won't get to listen to the show this morning. Was proud of the basketball team last night, but they really need to work on free throws. Maybe the women's team could help them out. I didn't even notice the free throw percentage last night. Let's check that out.
They can work on getting to the free throw line generally.
I told you, Bill, I thought that was the main story of the game. Carolina only -3 on the line. Florida only scored 3 more points than the Gamecocks did at the free throw line. Carolina 6 out of 10, and Florida was 9 out of 15. Both teams 60%. That didn't stick out to me at all. It's amazing how some people watch this thing. Chris, also in 528 this morning, the tale of 2 different teams. Maybe we just need to put a ranking on every team we play so we'll beat them. LOL. And then Ron from Lake Marion. When will the fallout stop? He's all about just recruiting from yesterday. Last in the SEC in recruiting, like the song says, so I'll meet you at the bottom if there really is one. They always told me when you hit it, you'll know it. But I've been falling so long, it's like gravity's gone and I'm just floating. I don't know what that song's from. What song that is? Do you guys know?
No, I don't think mine and Ron from Lake Marion's music interests
What's happened to
very
Ron
much.
from Lake Marion? He's really become a downer over the last few.
He used to be really fun and just make jokes every morning.
Yeah, he's really
ever since that Panther sighting, I think it spooked him, turned him the other way. Bill, I think all this just goes to show what a interesting headspace Gamecock fans are in. Yesterday it was National Signing Day. We heard from Shane Beamer. We'll hear from him later on as we roll on this morning, some of the best of what he had to say. But the recruiting rankings are the worst we've seen them in for when. Do you remember, Bill? I don't know if we've seen it
ever. I think it's also technically the smallest class South Front has ever taken, if you look at it that way.
Sure. And Shane talking just yesterday, what really sticks out to me is like you don't factor in transfers in to a recruiting class ranking, and he certainly he and his staff knew that they needed to go out and get some transfers and use that to the best of their ability, and they feel pretty good about it. But he also mentioned every coach in America gets up on a podium on National Signing Day and says, yep, we filled some needs and we feel good about it. And then he went on to basically say that and give some more detail.
The opening 10 minutes of the show is it Debbie Downer. And it's not that somebody just texted me and said Patrick's a whiner this morning. And unfortunately I was kind of in the same boat with Patrick last night about the basketball game, so I can't say he's really.
Tell that coward to text a show so I can read it.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Jeez, not even. He's just grizzled this morning. The basketball reading the text messages like Beth. I mean, I don't know.
The first text message I read was from New York at 10:30, which was substantially later than the basketball game actually ended. Didn't the game end at like 8:30 or 9?
Yeah, a little bit before 8:30, I think.
So I don't know. I think York was drinking for a couple hours celebrating the win and was like, I hope everyone whining Tuesday morning about men's basketball didn't watch this game. Hashtag fair weather. It's like, okay, well, if you weren't upset about how the basketball season's going, then I mean, you're probably Gamecock Larry. Like that's you couldn't be happy about how things are going. So everyone whining is in the right. It's not been a good season.
It's gonna be something for him. I might be sitting back just listening to the show myself this morning.
No, because I'll turn it. If we can go and rattle off a couple wins in a row here, I will start getting excited. But we've seen good performance followed by two terrible performances.
I don't
followed by
disagree
one
with
good
you.
performance followed by two terrible performances followed by a good performance again. So.
I think, Tim, I feel like I was saying something similar to him last night. I just wasn't doing it with as much anger. Maybe it's because he has the red hair. Maybe it's because he's been up for a little while. I feel like
Strawberry Bomb, dude.
We're on the same boat, in the same boat last night. It's just I was doing it very subtle, and I was also trying to work my way toward the positive, where Patrick's just entrenched in the negative side of it. Patrick, it's not that I disagree. I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. I think that there is a lot of people that feel that way. I think he tried to still enjoy the victory last night. It was a good game. I think Seventh Woods played the best basketball game of his career. That probably contributed. The point guard play probably contributed to the victory. You look at the schedule, Mississippi State at home on Saturday night is a winnable game. Then you get Alabama, who's is absolutely separated themselves in the SEC is the best team. Nate Oates has done an incredible job. They've got some incredible athletes down there. They shoot the ball really well. They can beat you off the dribble. They're number 9 in the country and absolutely hammered LSU in Tuscaloosa last night. I think Tim, we kind of watched the very ending. I think they were up 77-54 as we all switched over to the Bruins and the Penguins. You would have had a good time with that, Patrick. Some hockey on the live stream last night. But you look at the schedule, you're right. They've got to make a run. And Heath and I discussed this. Heath has been very adamant about, when I've listened to him a few times, about what you take away from the season and how you should feel about the basketball program. And I told Heath the same thing that I've told you guys. I think the hardest thing for South Carolina fans is the unknown of what lies ahead next season. Because it's hard to say, well, if you finish strong, it's a jump-off point. Even if you finish strong and you don't make the NCAA tournament. By the way, I guess I haven't even paid attention. I wonder if they'll even bother with an NIT tournament this year. Just a thought as I'm talking college basketball. But if you finish strong and you don't make the NCAA basketball tournament, as you just pointed out, you're going to lose A.J. Lawson. We don't know what everybody else is going to do. Seventh Woods, remember, would be in a 6th year of college ball. We just saw some football players who are good players say, you know what, 6 years is a lot of time in college. I'm kind of ready to go start whatever career I want to go start. You just don't know what's going to hold for this team in the future. So I'm with you. It's kind of like I feel like this was kind of like a last hurrah for this talent, for this team that we, again, saw last night. Does have talent because you don't know what this team is going to look like in 2021, 2022. So I think there's some people that even have a hard time getting excited about that. So I understand that. I understand celebrating last night's victory. Beating Florida again is never a bad thing. What did you say, Tim? That's five of the last 6 against the Gators. They lost last year, 81-68 Columbia.
No, it's 5 straight where the visitor has won in the series. Okay. So it's 3 straight for the Gamecocks in Gainesville. Crazy.
So, yeah, they win those games.
Used to be one of the toughest places to play in the SEC. Clearly, it is not for Frank Martin. He's talked about it a long time, how the University of Florida is kind of special to him, and clearly he has something special in store for them every trip here recently. And the record against Mike White, I think, might be 6-3 now or something crazy for Frank Martin recently. Rodney weighing in on the live stream. He's in on the YouTube live stream. You can just go search 107.5 The Game on YouTube. Subscribe. That might put Patrick in a better mood this morning if those numbers go way up. Good morning, guys. I'm with Patrick. It is what it is. I'm over it. Up and down and down. Give me a break. Make the tournament and let's talk. And then Ron from Lake Marion on the live stream. Nobody listens to the Drive-By Truckers? Fire on them.
Heard of them.
Not that hip. A bunch of you weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line at 803-404-6100. Rooster P says, get them, Big Carrot. Morning from Oklahoma. Morning out in Oklahoma, sir. Stewart says, guys, I'm upbeat, tempered, but ready to see what Shane Beamer can do. Go Cox. So maybe upbeat about just football, not even mentioning basketball. Gene says, I love it when Big Red's fired up in the morning. Go Patrick. Lee, it's like Will Muschamp. You get one good win a year, and you think that it's the coach is doing something, We need to hold the team and the basketball squad to a higher standard. Steve-O might have the best one. I don't know if anybody can top this today. Carolina basketball. I don't friggin' know.
That's about right.
Steve-O.
And I hate to say this, and this is an answer to Lee and to Matt, who also texted in. And I know this is not what you want to hear. This is technically the last 5 years is the best run South Carolina basketball has ever been on. As a 5 year period. That is sad. I'm fully aware that. But if you look at wins and you look at wins in SEC play, I know that they've had runs where they went to more NITs, more NCAA, and how it depends on how you want to judge it. The NIT is different. Everybody's got to admit that the NIT is different. If this was the early 2000s South Carolina basketball team, they would have been in three of the last. Well, they would have made last year's NIT, so they would have been in three of the last 5 NITs and 1 NCAA run, and then the 16 and 16 year would have been. They wouldn't have been in anything. But they shouldn't. They probably wouldn't have been in anything. You can't say for certain based on how the NIT used to go. But this is technically. I'm not saying you can't expect more, and this isn't necessarily a defense of the basketball program. But I think you also have to be realistic. Like Matt says, restore our faith in this. When have you ever had faith in the men's basketball program? Tim, last night on the live stream, Jay Phillips and I went through an oral history of South Carolina basketball dating back to the 80s and how questionable.
Patrick, I'm there watching a good game. I had the 2 beers and the old Coke machine here. I was having a great time, and then they get on there, and it was like, all right, let's get into the lecture series that is the history of Gamecock basketball.
We even broke down how
Darren Wolfpack was back together because
we broke down how Darren Horn. You want to know how deep into the conversation we went into how South Carolina basketball brought Darren Horn down.
There's a Dominique Archie reference.
It wasn't, man. Darren Horn brought South Carolina basketball down. It was, that Darren Horn was an up-and-comer and was about to be something. And then South Carolina basketball got a hold of him and shoot him up and spit him out. We went down a deep dive on it last night. And the other thing from the live stream last night, Patrick, if you ever have to watch it, Tim's computer is always about 50 seconds behind the play. So I was cheering. Anybody that was watching, I was cheering and having a good time and celebrating. Keyshawn Bryant dunks down the end and Jalen McCrary blocks and missed free throws by both teams. Tim's just so far behind. Basically, he had no commentary on the game.
Well, I'd already been tipped off as to what was going to happen. It was quite the experience for sure.
That happens every time I do a basketball game in studio because the cable broadcast is even further behind the radio. So I hear Derek Scott call the play, and then I look up at the screen, and then I watch the play happen. It's horrible.
There's that. That was all last night.
So we'll continue to try to break it down this morning for you. Love to hear more of your comments. 803-404-6100. That Cool Care Heating and Air text line is just on fire this morning. All of Matt's point was, preach it, Patrick. Gamecock basketball needs to restore our faith in the program before we allow ourselves to be unrealistically excited for the program. I think, Bill, this might be some carryover effect from football, from baseball relatively recently. I think it's just where Gamecock fans are, the mindset at this point. It is guarded, I think might be the best way to put it. Maybe the most optimistic is guarded, and the on the other end of the spectrum is kind of scorned and just expecting the worst or waiting for the other shoe to drop might be the other way to put that. Saul hits us up, says, loved how 7th Woods played in the second half, but Couisnard is still struggling, and if we're going to make a run, he has to play better. Well, he had 7 points in the first 5 minutes, I think. He looked like he was going to have a banner night, and then he scored one more basket. It was an impressive basket, but one more down the stretch. I was impressed that they were able to kind of overcome that. So, yeah, 7th Woods, we definitely need to talk about that. I know Frank commented on him pretty extensively yesterday or last night after the game. Let you hear some of those comments. Let you hear some of what Shane Beamer had to say about National Signing Day. And Will Muschamp officially has a new job. Officially joined the Georgia staff yesterday. That prompted me. I usually don't do this, but I thought, hey, I might forget this, or I need to put this out right now while it's in my head. The 7th Automotive poll question out since yesterday afternoon, since that news went official. Which Gamecock football coach's next job bothers or bothered you the most? Right now, Brad Scott taking an assistant coaching job at Clemson, leading the way. Steve Spurrier joining Florida as an ambassador in second. Muschamp joining Georgia is in third. And Lou Holtz joining ESPN is a distant fourth. Talking about the last four Gamecock coaches, I was going to mention something like Shane Beamer's already went back to his alma mater, so maybe he went ahead and got that out of the way before he became the head coach at Carolina, but Will Muschamp's coached at Georgia as well before, so didn't go that route. Who knows where the rest of the show is going to go or what tone we're going to get. It's been a fun start, that's for sure. 803-404-6100, again, the start or the number if you would like to weigh in. Our favorite 86-year-old caller on hold on the Love Chevy phone lines. A lot of text rolling in. We're off to a good start. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
Clear. All right, Love.
Let's see who we got in here. Just ready for baseball, huh, Chris? Whew.
February, the month of love. Feel it in the air. Referring to Valentine's Day, not for me. Now, the month of love, Love Chevrolet. That's right. You need to get out there. It couldn't get any sweeter. The state's largest selection of new Chevrolets continues to be at Love Chevrolet, and it actually just got larger if you're talking about the pre-owned selection as well. Why? Because Love Automotive just moved their selection from over in Casey to the store in Harbison, I-26 between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You need to get out there and check out what's going on, whether it's the new cars, the $1,000 low price guarantee. You go shop all the dealerships, take the best deal back to the folks that Love Chevrolet, and they'll top it. Whether it's that selection that I'm talking about where you're guaranteed to find the car or truck you've been thinking about, dreaming about, and wanting to purchase, or whether it's that incredible sales staff that's available out there to make you comfortable with your purchase. The folks that Love Chevrolet have got you ready and are ready to help you purchase that next vehicle, whether it's new or pre-owned. You won't go wrong visiting Love Chevrolet. Again, I-26 in Irmo between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, whether it's the new Love Chevy Silverado, Tahoe, or Suburban. Maybe there's a sweet ride you've been looking for from Love Chevy's massive used inventory. Get over to Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com, and find new roads.
Oh, what a start to the show.
Oh, boy.
Bill's got his coffee. Is it still black coffee? That's the question.
Still black. Oh yeah. We're on this is the February health kick.
Yeah. So it's going to be done in 3 weeks?
No, I'm just saying we're definitely going to go through it through February, but I think we're trying to make it a full-on lifestyle change. And let's see, I've drank black coffee since last Tuesday. So what's that? Today is, God, what is today? Thursday?
Yep. Almost 10 days.
So, yep. And I do need to make a decision here probably today on somebody hit us up somewhere. So many avenues to get in touch with us now, and told me that Kilo Charlie Gun Range,
That's
I believe, sells that Black Rifle coffee. And I'm kind of at the point now I need to I either need to order the next bag. I'm going to order another bag of coffee for wellness, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind trying something new. Where is this gun range here?
I think it's out your way. They've been.
It is. It says Lexington. Let's see. Okay, it's behind the Bojangles out there. So opens at 10. That's new. Not too bad. I need to go out. It's over there by an Aldi's. I like to purchase some produce from Aldi, so I might head over there later. But yeah, I need to actually, to be honest with you, I need to go over there today and see if they have it. Otherwise, because it's going to take about 2 or 3 days, I need to go ahead and order my coffee for wellness today.
Big day. Big day. So we got Gamecock Larry. Who else you talking to? Who else you chatting with on the old phone lines?
David calls me every morning, tells me, love your takes, give him hell. I'm like, all right, dude.
Is that quarterback Dave?
I don't know who it is. Calls me the same thing every day. He called your friend gutless. Bill.
What?
He called your friend gutless.
That was Jonathan. He was picking at you.
I know. Hiding behind his keyboard, says David.
Must be quarterback Dave.
So our Gamecock Larry will be ready to go when we come back. Is that fair?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay.
It'll be after 6:30.
Yeah, I guess Montario Hardesty we need to check out a little bit.
Yep, Ontario Hardesty. I guess I need to go back and read his bio. I saw it and just kind of glanced through it, but I didn't read his whole bio.
Got Charlotte most recently.
Yeah.
Was it Tennessee there for a little bit? Florida Atlantic with Kiffin. And Norfolk State. Don't forget where he started at Shawan.
Schwan? What?
Well, yeah, we got the Wes Mitchell hooking me up on the bio there on Gamecock Central.
I think this AMC GameStop run is officially over. Looks like everything is dipping back down.
Where did Wes put? Oh, there it is. Every time I need to read something on this site, though, I forget what my password is because it's auto-saved on my computer. Oh, good. You don't have to log into this one. Nice.
Morning, Donnie. Thanks for hopping on, man. You've missed a fired up Patrick Perrette, who I think's early take was, so what for Gamecock basketball? Does that sum it up for you, Patrick?
Yeah.
I think he went back to the old Bill Muschamp phrase, so what, now what?
Ugh.
I scrolled too far on Wes's Twitter, and I'm reading this tweet. Me, I will never be one of the people who waste their money on DoorDash. Also me, dang, it's convenient to not have to leave and go get lunch. Yeah, Wes, that's why DoorDash exists.
I ordered Tuesday.
Literally why they exist for
You're a
convenience.
coward, Patrick. Why don't you put it on his timeline?
He's listen. I hope he's listening right now.
I doubt Patrick. Tim, have you ever done like Instacart or grocery order and delivery?
I like grocery shopping.
The White House.
I normally don't mind shopping, but Tuesday I just did. It was so cold and stuff. I didn't feel like leaving the house, so I ordered that and then ordered pizzas for me and the kids.
Nice.
I love
Amazing what we get delivered now. I just had everything delivered.
And you're up.
David's morning pep talk on the phones off the air to Patrick, just congratulating him on his takes and calling Bill's friend Jonathan gutless, I think.
And he's sick of hearing the recruiting talk because it's about development, not.
Well, he's Dave's gutless because he never comes on air. He just talks to Patrick. We want to play that. He's just if he don't sit on the air and don't go on and stroke Patrick's ego off air. He's so fired up this morning. He doesn't need people telling him how great he is.
Well, pretty much everyone's doing that already this morning.
There you go. See, that's exactly what I'm saying. There you go, folks.
Text line and phone
You
line.
see what you've created.
And
So-
YouTube comments.
Just wanted to catch people up about what was going on off the air during the break. Also, what do we have there? Chris hit us up on the live stream. Who else is just ready for Gamecock baseball? Oh, Wes has responded on the Gamecock Central handle on the YouTube page. I'm always listening, Patrick.
He's always listening. I knew he was listening.
Wes Mitchell was talking junk. Good job, Wes Mitchell.
Patrick is, by the way, if you better come to this show with thick skin this morning because Patrick's just taking it out on anybody and everybody's yelling at Wes about a DoorDash hot take that Wes had.
I'm up all night. I'm coming to the show with energy every morning. I provide the energy at all times.
72-66 the final score. Gamecock basketball playing with plenty of energy last night and doing just what Frank Martin does. He goes to Gainesville and wins. Third straight win for the Gamecocks on the road in this series. The fifth straight win for the visitor in Florida in Gamecock basketball. We're trying to figure out what do you take away from that thing? Because it's been an uneven and I think Frank Martin was asked after the game about a roller coaster, and he said, no, that doesn't even do it justice. I would think your average Carolina fan, Billy hits us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, is feeling that the basketball is what it is. We're hoping baseball is going to give us something to be proud of again, and just waiting to see what Shane Bieber and those fellows are going to give us. That's where I think most of us Carolina fans are. Basketball can string together some more wins. That would be great, but right now we really don't expect them to. So like I said, we're waiting on baseball, hopefully, to lift us up. What do you think, Bill? Do you think that's where most Gamecock fans are?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are beaten down. I'm not. It's a sports discussion. Let's just keep it there. But the truth is, a lot's happened in our society in the last 9 months. South Carolina athletics, the incredibly bright, shining star that was women's basketball, probably goes on to win a national championship, and we could have proclaimed them the absolute best sports program in the state. You know, you could have put your hat on that and said, hey, that the regardless of sport, the best program resides in Columbia. That got taken away. Baseball, I really hate to say it. I don't remember how baseball was faring there when I think Clemson had just beaten them in a series.
12-4 the Gamecocks were last year.
Yep. So they were, but they appeared maybe ready for a run, and then obviously football was what it was, and here we sit today, and I get it, I understand. There's just something positive. I'm with Gamecock fans. Just anything positive to kind of get you excited again. And last night was fun, but you want to see it carried over into results and a run through the month of February and into the NCAA tournament. But that's going to be very, very, very difficult. I don't want to call it impossible, but it's the odds are incredibly stacked against you, right?
Whenever I'm feeling beaten down, I go to Justin King's Twitter page, and he's got a pinned tweet from his first year at South Carolina, from his first year, which was the Outback Bowl win over Michigan, the Final Four run, and the women's national championship. And every once in a while, I'll just go back to that, and I remember how I feel at that time, thinking like the sky was the limit for every sport. It makes me feel better. Then when I stop watching, I actually feel worse, knowing that one of those coaches is already gone. Frank Martin looks like 10 years have passed from that video when you watch it, from what you see right now. But yeah, it'll make you feel better for a couple minutes.
@_Patrick Perrette, if you would like to follow Patrick.
At Justin King.
On Twitter.
Already.
Billy hits us up. Newberry Chris hits us up and says Gamecock Larry is credited for that win. His rant yesterday spoke volumes. Well, why don't we get our favorite 86-year-old's thoughts on the Love Chevy phone lines this morning? 803-404-6100. 72-66, Carolina knocks off the number 22 team in the country last night in Gainesville. What do you think, Larry? Lines this morning, 803-404-6100. 72-66, Carolina knocks off the number 22 team in the country last night in Gainesville. What?
Drive a test for a motorized scooter. Look out, Mr. Fowler, I'm coming after you. I've got to see Dr. McMakin, a Gamecock fan. Dr. McMillan, a Bulldog fan. And social worker, I don't forget his name, Mr. John, Lord have mercy. I forgot his name. So let me tell you something. I just hope the Muschamp to Georgia. Look out, Dr. Bulldog. That game last night, I called the hotline, and I told them, I don't know. I ain't never met Mr. Fowler, I don't think, but I got to meet him. I still love him. I mean, I love him all 107.5. And I'm going to tell you something. It ain't where you start, it's where you finish. This coaching staff didn't have no time to get together a recruiting class. Blame that on the last staff, on Muschamp and all them. Again, this got the Bulldog. Look like you got a man back coming to Georgia, and I'm glad he's on the way. I can't think too much more to say. Oh yeah, I'm gonna buy me a smartphone, $400, so I can learn how to get on all that thing you all talking about. Oh, I tell you, I don't want a phone smarter than me, but I'm gonna have to get one. If the old man gonna get along in this social media world, he gonna have to have a smartphone. But that's about all I got to say. But go Gamecock, and remember, it ain't where you start, where you finish. Gamecocks in the Final Four in 2024. Go Gamecocks.
Gamecock Larry, ladies and gentlemen.
What's the most common name you could think of, like Ted Smith or Tom Johnson? Because I got a feeling the problem we have here is the social worker has the most common name ever. It's not Root Hog or,
I think he figured out it wrong.
Dr. Volunteer, Dr. Gator. The problem is it's just the most. That's why Gamecock Larry can't remember it. If that guy went in with a Georgia shirt, he'd be public enemy number 17 in the eyes of Gamecock Larry. But he would know his name. But the guy needs to go in with his affiliation for his team. And he's right. You guys
need public enemy number 1 now. It seems like over Clemson Sean even.
Anthony from Kershaw, Gamecock Larry with a scooter and a smartphone. Watch out. Ronnie, don't forget Larry. We're going to be okay. And then Todd this morning, maybe the most annoying text we ever got. It took me a while to figure out what the heck Todd was talking about. Oh, I forgot. Todd's an Alabama fan. Wow, you guys almost had me going down the road of depression. Things will get better here. What can I do to help this morning? Can I get a hold of our national championship trophy from football season? Or maybe y'all can have live through our 10-0 start in SEC play in basketball? What can I do to help you guys? It's going to get better here in Columbia this coming year, I assure you.
I was going to say you could use punctuation so we can read your text, but he is a Bama guy, so they didn't learn that.
Oh, what? Shots. You guys aren't dragging me down. Patrick's just ripping anybody who steps into the ring this morning.
Anybody can get it this morning.
Root Hog in on the Coke Air Heating and Air text line. Tell Gamecock Larry, it ain't how you drive, it's how you arrive. He's having fun. He's laughing this morning with his emojis anyway. Again, Seventh Woods was the difference last night, wasn't he? Point guard play, you mentioned it, Bill. It's been a struggle this season. And, Seventh Woods scores season high, I believe, 12 points. Might be a career high. And then took care of the basketball as well. The Gamecocks turned it over 13 times. I think Florida turned it over 12 times, something like that. So the turnovers were a wash. And I got to give Jalen McCrary a bunch of credit too, especially on the defensive end, down the stretch in the post. It looked to me like that's where Florida was taking the game over. Both Colin Castleton and Omar Payne were kind of having their way with some easy buckets, I thought, in the second half. And to me, it looked like they had gained control of the ball game. And Jalen McCrary comes in and makes some plays, makes some blocks, not 7 blocks like Castleton ended up having, but made some significant plays and helped turn the momentum around. I think helped give the team a little bit more confidence on defense, and that helped Keyshawn Bryant giving a little energy as well down the stretch.
Three things that really stand out if you're statistically looking at the game last night. There's a lot of numbers that are very, very even here between the two teams. But 3 things to me that stand out. One, you mentioned Seventh Woods, 26 minutes last night. I'm not sure if that's a season high. I need to go back and look at that. But you look at his stat line, very even, shot the ball efficiently, 6 of 10 from the field, 12 points last night. Just 1 assist. The Gamecocks only had 10 assists total, but 1 assist, but 1 turnover, took care of the basketball. Again, I'm with you. Very good point guard play last night. Really one of the first times We've seen that all year. Stat number 2 that I find very interesting: they let them play last night. Actually, stat 2 and stat 3 are kind of tied in. We talked about this on the live stream. Listening for me, for those that don't know, I had soccer practice with Austin. I missed the first half of the game. I was listening to it on radio with Casey Manning and Derek Scott. But Tim, look at the fouls last night. We've talked about the disparity in fouls a lot. 17 fouls called on the Gamecocks, just 15 called on Florida. 32 total fouls. South Carolina was aggressive with the basketball, because then I see 12 blocks, 7 of them by Castleton, the big 6'11" center for Florida. Gamecocks went after him. Derek and Casey talked about that a lot during the broadcast, how aggressive South Carolina was being, getting into the lane, attacking Castleton last night. And I think it's surprising to see when you have 12 blocks like that, and when I hear Derek and Casey discussing South Carolina being more aggressive offensively in terms of going to the rim, that you only see 15 fouls called on Florida, just 17 on South Carolina. Again, not a lot of fouls last night, not a lot of free throw shots combined, just 25 foul shots combined between the teams. Normally, it feels like we see lots of foul shots from the opposition. Normally, it feels like we see 25 foul shots from the opposition. We didn't see that last night. So I think there's a lot of things there that statistically that I look at and see a different ball club last night. One of them we've kind of pointed out, Florida shot the ball okay, but South Carolina holding at 66 after giving up, what did we say, 93 to Vanderbilt, 109 to Auburn. We'll see if maybe some adjustments are made, and Jalen McCreary coming back helps in the down low. I think a lot of that stuff is statistically just looking at the box score. Again, there's not many games that I look at where I see South Carolina shoot 4 of 19 from 3-point range and expect them to win.
Especially on the road against a ranked opponent. 72-66, the final score last night. The Gamecocks pulled within a game under 500, both overall and in SEC play. We're trying to figure out what it all means. Let you hear some of what Frank Martin had to say about it when we come back. Having fun on a Thursday morning. Join us on the live stream too, and take it up a notch if you want on YouTube or on Facebook. 803-404-6100 if you would like to join on the Love Chevy phone lines or the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually helped, Jan, I think, that foul situation. Couldn't put him on the line.
Rolling through the Thursday morning show, getting ready for another big day. Maybe today is the day you have to make that mortgage payment. It is the day of February. Maybe it's coming close, and maybe you're thinking about something I've been talking about, and that's refinancing, saving money. Interest rates exceptionally low. Jake Crowder texted me yesterday. He said to let everybody know they're seeing rates as low as 1.875%. He said he locked in 2 of them yesterday. You could be one of those people, depending on how things are going for you. You just need to get in touch with him and see what he can do for you and your family. He's a mortgage guru for a reason. Give Jacob Crowder a call, 803-719-1005. He's with First Palmetto Bank now. Again, don't wait around. Give Jacob Crowder a call, 803-719-1005. Imagine that if you qualified for a 1.875% mortgage rate right now. Think about how much money you could save on your monthly mortgage payment. If you're thinking about purchasing, again, great opportunity to do it and save money. So don't wait around. Shoot him an email if you want. The letter J, Crowder, CROWDR at firstpalmetto.com. That phone number again, 803-719-1005. He's the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder. We're First Palmetto Bank.
Yeah, Jan, adding to your point, who is this? Yeah, Gregory said they had 6 fouls in the last 45 seconds. Yeah, just trying to put Carolina on the line. Florida was. Bottom line, if the refs swallow the whistles like last night on the regular, South Carolina will have some success. I don't disagree with that. I think that helped the rebounding situation for sure, and that's what Chaz was impressed with. Carolina out-rebounded Florida by 8. With the way they have to play small sometimes. Especially impressive against Florida. For sure. Oh, Patrick's getting a lot of love this morning, isn't he?
He is. People don't really care about his takes. They just love it when he's yelling at people. He could be over here yelling, South Carolina's going to the national championship, and then yelling at people, and they'd be like, yeah.
Appreciate the help there with the scroll, Chavo. And I don't understand the the letter J. Help me out there. What did we screw that up? Did I screw that up again?
No, he's talking. I don't know what he necessarily means, but when I explain how to email Jacob Crowder, I say the letter J because it's Jacob. Like instead of I don't want to say J Crowder. J. People might go, oh, Jay or something.
You do have Punctuation Patrick running the show today. You got to make sure everything's good.
Right.
You see, Todd came back at you on the text line, Patrick.
That
Mr. Patrick Lacrosse. Simmer down, big fella.
Mr. Patrick Lacrosse.
He got you.
I guess so.
Oh, love it. Bringing the edge this morning.
Lacrosse is back.
Lacrosse is back.
It was opening weekend last weekend, and we got our first top 5 matchup of the year on tomorrow afternoon.
Huge. Live stream that thing.
I don't know if I'll be able to even watch it. Denver game behind a paywall.
That's brilliant. That's how you grow a sport.
Well, ESPN plays some of them, but it's like I don't know. A lot of schools have it for like smaller sports. They have to buy a subscription or whatever it is to like the athletics website.
Oh.
They don't have media deals like that, but the game might be on ESPN. I don't know if they've announced it.
Can we play some Frank coming back, please?
Yeah, which one?
What are our options again? I know I sent it to you.
The roller coaster or we're not looking ahead?
Let's go the roller coaster. Well done. That's Mr. Punctuation Patrick Lacrosse to you, Todd. How was this? Attaboy, Jan. Refinancing with the letter J Crowder right now. Good for you, sir. I'm guessing not exactly right now. He's more of a late night guy than the early morning guy.
Who?
Crowder.
Yep.
Good golfer, though. Way too good to play with me. And Patrick, you do have some of Beamer's cuts right there too from Dave.
Yeah, yesterday, yeah. There's a bunch of stuff.
Anything short?
Yes. No.
Classic.
Not really. I'll have to check them.
Maybe you can shorten some of those up in the national break, please.
I think there might be 2 30-second ones. Yeah.
Okay.
We're coming back.
Frank, straight on in, please.
Yeah, probably going to have a couple minutes.
All right, going into the little music bed intro that we're still trying to get plugged in here. Ed. So Frank's talking about the roller coaster right now.
It's been like nothing I've ever experienced professionally. You know, I've dealt with some heartache and craziness in my personal life, but professionally, I've never dealt with what we're dealing with right now and trying to manage it. This is, you know, some coaches might say, "Yeah, I got this figured out." I'm just telling you, I think great leadership is honesty. And you know, when I speak with the guys, I tell them, I'm trying to figure this out too, man.
I think a good insight, a good window into why Frank Martin can coach how he coaches and still have players on his side and feel like he has their back because of that honesty right there. An honest text on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Is there any chance the tournament committee would take Carolina's COVID situation into consideration if they finish strong? I think that's where we have to be honest, Bill, like Frank, and say, we don't know. We've never seen this situation happen before. Ever. I got no clue how. I mean, you hear it all the time. every March on the bubble talk and taking a significant injury into account or maybe a suspension. Remember the Sindarius Thornwell suspension back in the Final Four year that the Gamecocks got a higher seed than we thought they did. Maybe they took that into account. But this year, I got no clue. What do you think, Bill?
For the longest time, you and Jen have picked on me about my affinity to check out Joe Lenardi's bracketology. This is the first time I just clicked on it. This is the first time I've ever clicked on his bracketology this year, and it's much, much different. He's got 3 bracketologies, Tim. 68 teams, 48 teams, 16 teams. That shows you just where nobody knows what's going to happen with the NCAA tournament. I think, and I'm not picking on Joe. I'm not trying to be funny. Joe Lenardi, I think, is pretty plugged in just in terms of knowing it. And the fact that he doesn't seem to even know how exactly many teams are going to be in the bracket, I think speaks to the complete uncertainty of how we're going to finish up the next 2 months of this college basketball season.
Now, I think Lenardi is a lot like Patrick is with the NFL draft and his mock drafts. Any excuse to do some more work with that, he's all for. It's like, I'm going to make
His first team out, by the way, is Maryland. How about that?
Well, Maryland played 8 of 9 ranked teams in their last 9 games. Just ridiculous.
Well, their first team out, not making the tournament.
Mr. Punctuation, Patrick Lacrosse. Strong. Hour 2 coming up.
Quick. Maryland's second in the nation in quad 1 wins. And they're still – that's how good the Big Ten is.
Yeah, how many teams they expected to get in, 8?
If Maryland's the first one out, then probably 10.
Oh.
I think Maryland's 39 in the net right now.
More coffee. Yeah, but see, they've been talking about that. Those net rankings don't mean as much because you got extra wins for road victories, but the road victories aren't the same as they've been in the past.
That's what the tournament uses, though.
Why have they come out and said they're using that this year?
I think I don't know. It's just been said that they use that more so than like.
Right. I understand, but
I mean, it doesn't really matter what they say right now. There's so much to be shaken out in the Big Ten right now. Anybody can beat anybody in any night. But literally the 9 last games, 8 of them have been ranked, and like 4 of them have been top 10 teams. So pretty ridiculous.
No doubt, man. I like the JUCO one from Shea Beamer and the filling our needs one. Can you get those?
Yeah, so filling needs is only 30 seconds.
Okay. I'm guessing it could probably be like 15.
Probably. What's the JUCO one?
If recruiting rankings took JUCO or transfers into actually he was asked too if he wants to do more high school stuff moving forward. It might be on that. So can you take a listen, see what's going to be worth putting on? Oh, Bill, you look very inquisitive there.
American John has responded.
I'm sorry? American John? Oh, he's back in. Let's see. No, he's still all about the MMA fight, huh? Too much wellness coffee with vodka. Woo! That is strong.
That was not as good. Not as good.
So what did you guys see the final number? KT's asking. Did it get up to the 70s, the recruiting rankings? I'll check it out now.
I don't know.
It was 94 when we were looking at it yesterday before the 2 extra guys signed.
It's low.
I'm reading Will Muschamp has been assisting Shane Beamer with transition.
I am dragging this morning.
Wow. So Beamer said, I guess on the SEC network that He's got a lot of credit and respect for Will Muschamp, been very open and helpful to me. Anything that I've ever needed or questions for him, doesn't have to do that. What? That'll put me on a Darren Horn rant there. I'll leave that there. Look up the recruiting rankings. How ridiculous is they're saying that the Alabama class can be their best ever after we talked about the 2017 class?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. It's crazy. I really did not pay attention to football recruiting for multiple reasons as much as I did in the past.
It's a good sign for your life, I think.
No, I like watching it just to know who kind of like the up and coming stars are. Alabama had 7 5-stars.
77 is the final number for Carolina, it looks like, or the number right now anyway, on 24/7 Sports. But I guess Bam Scott doesn't get credit for being a 4-star according to them. Just all 3 stars, 13 3-star commits. At the old CBS Sports Flash, we should be on about 2 minutes. Yeah, we got that. 76, 77. Yep, sorry about that, guys. Chan taking a shot at 76. T going to 74. I'm with Chavo here.
Ridiculous class for Alabama.
They get any headlining impact guys, quarterback or running back?
Yeah, they got a big time running back.
So,
I was just looking. I mean, again, I never paid attention to some of these guys. That was kind of the first time I ever looked at it, but I'll go back. Hold on. It was a guy out of Florida. Kamar Wheaton out of Texas. Number 2 overall running back in the country, number 33rd nationally.
are you talking about Bama?
Yeah.
I wrote down like the highlights of their class because when you get to write it, look it all out. It's pretty outrageous.
They signed the top 2 offensive tackles in the country.
Yeah.
Wow. Not fair.
It's like me recruiting on PlayStation.
Yeah, they have 16 guys that are in the top 5 at their position in the country.
Wow. How long is Saban going to be able to keep that going?
I don't know, but they're going for 4 national championships.
Is my connection okay on the air, Patrick? I'm definitely getting a little digital breakup.
It was fine.
Okay.
Like right now.
Can you go with a little Shane Beamer off the top here? Patrick, nope, you locked in.
Yep.
Gamecocks go into Gainesville again and get a win. 6-point win last night, coming off of one of the most frustrating maybe losses in Frank Martin's tenure, losing to winless, SEC winless Vandy over the weekend, and now, boom, right back and beating the hottest team in SEC play. It's confusing. Frank Martin says he's never been on a professional roller coaster like this. Calling it a roller coaster doesn't even do it justice. So we're trying to figure out exactly what to take away from last night, and I don't think we got clear. I got more confused than anything else, I think, in hour number 1. We got that. We got Will Muschamp jumping on the Georgia staff. Got a Sutter Automotive poll question about the last 4 Gamecock coaches and what they went on to do, what bothered or bothers you most? Brad Scott to Clemson is leading the way there. I agree with one comment. I forget who hit me up yesterday. It said, you can't blame a guy that you fired in Brad Scott. I think a lot of people might feel that way about Will Muschamp. I'm just reading, I guess Shane Beamer was speaking to the SEC Network and said that Will Muschamp's actually been helpful in the transition period. He gives him a lot of credit and respect. He's actually asked some questions. Beamer has gone to Will Muschamp or reached out to him, and he's gotten some good feedback from Will Muschamp in the transition process. Bill, I think that speaks volumes about both guys really in this thing. I'll never forget Darren Horn's introductory press conference where he was asked if he would reach out to Dave Odom about any questions or any help in the transition, and he just flat out answered no. And then moved on. It was jarring. I remember at the time, it was like, because especially Dave Odom's public persona, very nice guy, friendly and helpful. I would have thought you would have gotten the canned answer of really respect what he's done in his career and hoping that I can get any kind of advice or information, and you just got no. Darren Horn. To me, Shane Beamer is approaching it the right way. Get all the information you can. Why wouldn't you go to the guy that recruited all these guys and at least get his perspective? You don't have to take his word as gospel, obviously, and take his approach in it, but more information is better for Shane Beamer and company at this point, I think.
I think it's I don't know. He didn't go into much detail about how much Will Muschamp is helped. Maybe for all we know, he's just trying to be nice and smooth things over. And for all we know, somebody had to text Will Muschamp and say, "Hey, where did you have the coffee creamer for when we come in this morning?" And Muschamp was like, "All right, I actually put it under the weight bench, third weight bench down from the left." I mean, I don't know what is much. It's not like Muschamp's out there telling him "Hey, we were recruiting this guy, and this is what his mother likes, this is what his father likes, this is how you probably could be able to land him." I don't know until what level has Will Muschamp helped. But again, maybe for all we know, again, maybe Will Muschamp managed to lock up his computer in the office and get some kind of password that Shane Beamer couldn't figure out. I'm sure Muschamp. I don't think there's. I thought about this last night. I don't think there's a lot of good feelings between Muschamp and the university right now. Just kind of based on some things I've heard about him understanding that probably things had gone south, but him kind of wanting to finish out the season and not be fired mid-season again. And I'll say this: him being, I wonder how much he's going to encourage Kirby. What will the Muschamp feeling be like when South Carolina goes to Georgia in week 3 over there for that particular game? Well, you knew he was going to be on staff and so in some role or capacity, but I guess I'd be interested to hear a little bit more what exactly is he doing to help the transition from his regime to Shane Beamer's staff?
Why? I don't get the saltiness.
From Muschamp's perspective?
Yeah, you got fired, but you got $12 million. You got a second chance that you probably didn't deserve.
I don't think it's that. I my opinion, look, we all know Muschamp. We all know 95% of college coaches have massive egos. Very few are humble guys who can realistically look at the situation. I think what hurts him, what bothers him the most is in a COVID year like this, being let go mid-season. Now, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just that's to get let go in the middle of the season again. Let me ask this. I don't know, Patrick, and Tim. I'll ask you this. Name another coach that's been fired from 2 programs mid-season. Can you name an NFL coach that's been fired mid-season from 2 jobs?
Not off the top of my head.
That's a stigma right there, buddy. It's one thing. Coaches get fired 2 times. That's not an anomaly. That in the coaching industry, that happens. It's understandable. Mid-season twice, or not? During the season, that list has got to be pretty small. And Will Muschamp is a guy that I think we all know, knows football in and out and knows the history of football. And I got a feeling, I'm asking that question. If I said it to Will Muschamp at the beginning of the year, hey man, You name me coaches that got fired twice in the middle of the season by two different programs. I'm thinking he could rattle off a couple names. He knows what list he went on. It's got to be a short list.
But are you saying that if he got fired at the end of the season, then everything would be good between him and South Carolina? He would have put out a statement and there would be no hard feelings?
I think there's always hard feelings when you get fired. I don't think that.
Right. I think it's
his departure. He and he from Florida, and Ron Rivera from the Panthers are about as good as you can have of amicably splitting or being fired. Not Ron Rivera saying, I'm leaving to just take a year or two off. I mean, they were actually fired. But those are about as good as it comes. But, again, what exactly is he doing? It's hard to say.
I mean, it should have been closer to the way he handled his firing should have been closer to the Utah State coach that gave back the money for poor performance than it is what he's actually done. Like, he should be thankful, not, well, screw you guys.
You ever been fired?
No.
Bill, you ever got paid nearly $13 million when you were fired?
You know what I would do? I'd go away. I wouldn't say anything.
Right. That's what Muschamp
exactly.
did.
That's my point. Like he would do.
But that's not all he did. He also joined a staff that is your in-division rival. It's where your son is playing, which he made that decision while you were coaching a division rival, which was it's really odd. And it's where you went to school. I got it. There are plenty of ties there. Your buddy is the coach. But what do you make of this thing? I thought it made a lot more sense to do where you thought Muschamp was going to do, just do the TV thing for a little while. It's up in Charlotte, the SEC network. He's living in Columbia. He's still got a kid in high school here in town. It made more sense to me. This one is odd, especially when I heard Kirby Smart yesterday officially talk about it for the first time, said he's going to coach the coaches. Huh? He won't. The guy who's gotten fired a couple of times mid-season to coach your coach? That doesn't make any sense.
I took it to mean he's going to be the organizational guy. I don't think he's walking into Kirby Smart's office Monday or let me take that back. I don't think he's texting Kirby Smart at 8:00 on Sunday night saying, "Hey, we got a meeting, my office, 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Be there, bring your notepad."
Right.
Look, you can read between the lines on these things. I'm with you. I thought the more logical play for Will Muschamp was to step out of football. And I'm not being funny, he's not financially hurting. Was to step out of football for a few years to enjoy life. But I also think, Tim, us watching, covering Will Muschamp for the last 4 or 5 years, I don't see him as a guy who has anything outside of football. And that's why there are people like that. We know people like that throughout life, that whether it's business or being a business owner or whatever they do, there's just people who they don't have anything outside of their job. And that doesn't make you a bad person. I don't think Will Muschamp can go through a football season without being involved in drawing plays up on the whiteboard or discussing the game or talking about the overhang defender or fitting in the run gaps. And that doesn't mean that he needs to be on the field right now, calling ball plays or talking to kids. This, to me, the analyst job, I would imagine would get old after about 4 weeks. This, to me, he probably was able to take a very reduced salary. I mean, let's be honest. He probably doesn't need some of these analysts can make up to $80,000 or $90,000 a year. He probably didn't need that.
I saw 300. That's what I saw he's getting paid.
Oh, good.
I'll double check that for you.
How in the world does that happen? Anyway, but my point on this is he gets to go be around football.
Yeah.
He gets to go be around his son. He gets to go back to his college town. To me, what he's doing for most of us would still be stressful. I think for Will Muschamp, it's relaxing.
Well, I don't care that he's coaching somewhere else. That's not what annoys me about it. But don't just leave, not say a word. Be a little thankful. If you put out a statement, I know it's probably overrated, probably not that big a deal, but if you just put out a statement saying thanks for taking a chance on me when no program of your caliber would have or should have probably done that, giving me a lot of money, giving me a home for almost 5 years, but I just can't stay away from football, so I'm going to go coach and be an analyst at Georgia. If you just said that, that's fine, but instead you just leave, pocket $13 million, don't say a word, and act like you're a victim here. Nobody feels bad.
I don't know if he's acting like he's a victim. I mean, like
I don't know, but, I mean, it's just
I
professional.
kind of do the same thing. I'd walk away.
It's just professional. I mean, they play.
You know what I do? I
This is
put a
comparing
Georgia
different-
flag, and if I was him, I'd put a Georgia flag on my house in the middle of Lake Murray.
Well, you saying to me, have you ever been
somebody
fired? Comparing that to Will Muschamp is the same thing as somebody texting in and saying, hey, comparing Deshaun Watson to like an accounting job that didn't get to pick his manager. Like, he made $13 million and they play by a different set of rules. You should put out a statement and be professional.
$300,000 is confirmed. That will be Will Muschamp's salary.
That is the most amazing thing I will hear in the month of February. There is no, and potentially the rest of the year. That is the most. This dude has, without a doubt, he may be the worst football coach to ever coach as a head coach, but that man is incredible at negotiating contracts.
Show a little gratitude.
Tell me right now out there, you wouldn't hire Will Muschamp right now to negotiate your next contract with anybody.
I think we're all reevaluating our place
How
in life.
in the world?
Maybe not as much as Bill.
Think about that. Think about that. He could have gone to Georgia and said, "Look, I just got $13 million. I know you got a lot of money, but I'll do it for 60 or 70 this year." And
that's been the narrative for 5 years. On Will Muschamp.
He got a $300,000 job to just wander. He's basically going to be kind of the equivalent of Steve Spurrier wandering the halls in Georgia. Popping into the guys need me in here. No, you don't want me. Go down the hall. Go to the next room. I'll go to the next roroom.
They want Steve. Everybody wants Steve Spurrier to be in the building at Gainesville.
No, not Dan Mullen.
Well, no, they're not gonna mind. Muschamp. The thing with Spurrier is Spurrier pops into a meeting or pops his head and goes, "You boys need some ball plays in here?" And Mullen and them are like, "Oh God, the guy from the basement's back."
I think Muschamp will have all the film broken down that Kirby Smart wants, and he'll be in there with like the 22-year-olds, won't he? The grad assistants and the whole thing, the student workers. I feel like he'll be right in there watching the film.
That is incredible. $300,000 this year.
Muschamp right now in third in today's Sudeth Automotive Poll question at Tim Hill 1075, asking you which Gamecock football coach's next job bothers or bothered you the most. Maybe now that you know the salary number, or now that Bill knows the salary number, it is responding accordingly.
I want to quit this job right now.
Maybe that vote will go up a little bit.
I go back to bed upon hearing that. Like,
it's in third behind Steve Spurrier at Florida being the ambassador. That's in second place right now. Brad Scott being an assistant coach at Clemson, leading the way with 45% of the vote at Tim Hill 1075. Again, where you can go and vote for that poll question. Lou Holtz on TV at ESPN in a distant fourth place. 803-404-6100, the number into the show. You can call or text. We got the live stream up and rolling. We'll get back into the basketball discussion for sure. Try to put last night's win at Florida in perspective. Let you hear a little bit more from Frank Martin and Shane Beamer as we roll on this morning. Now that National Signing Day also in the books for the Gamecocks. Break down some of that recruiting, the numbers for where Carolina stands, who signed yesterday, and what it all means there. We got so much to talk about. It is fantastic to be with you on this Thursday morning. It's the early game. It's 107.5 again.
University of Oregon, my man, congratulations. Have a great rest of your day. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Where is this coming from?
oh, that it's probably mine.
I don't think I have any. Oh, maybe. Yeah, sorry, that's me.
Oh, okay.
That was the Muschamp article making $300,000. Just had to confirm that.
All right, I love him, but did anybody see Tommy Moody's group text to us?
Yeah. I didn't read it.
This morning?
Yeah.
See it now.
Would one of you two like to fill in the streamers as to what today is?
Two banner things, huh?
Fine, I'll do it. All right, this is per Tommy Moody. We'd just like to let you know.
Oh, sorry. Yep,
50 years ago today, John Roach pumps in a school record, 56 points. Wait a minute. Let me start over in my Tommy Moody voice. 50 years ago today, John Roach pumped in a school record, 56 points at number 7, number 2 in the preseason. South Carolina beat Furman 118-83. Also happening today, February 4th, 24 years ago, number 19 South Carolina stunned number 3 defending national champion Kentucky in overtime, 84-79. The Wildcats would go on to lose the title game in overtime to Arizona. That wasn't a very good Tommy Moody impersonation.
How about Dave over in Lexington? $33 million for 28 wins for Muschamp. That's impressive. Better recruiter or better contract negotiator? Raphael asks. I don't know where my answer would be on that one.
You guys would get my email this morning?
Yeah, I haven't had time to read it.
Yep, got it.
I have so many pictures in my head of what this could look like, and they're all beautiful.
Nice.
I'm just imagining 2 whiteboards behind me, one with the game rules and one with the draft board, and be wonderful.
Interesting comments here. I'll get to them on the air. Yeah. We got 2 texts from my buddy this morning. The last one, we got stupid and idiots both in there.
Good.
What is the Gunter diet?
Good question.
Wait, what?
Mark said, "Is everybody recovered from last night, especially you, Tim? Not on the Gunter diet, I see."
Oh, that's just because.
What's your diet?
Well, I was just drinking water last night, and I think we were talking about spinach, eating. Oh yeah, that was Mark. What was his? I forget his last name. Wait a minute, I'm not on the stream. I was looking at the text messages. There we go. Evendorf, yeah. Yeah, we were just talking about I ate spinach and eggs after the show yesterday, and I ate sushi last night, and then I was drinking water, and they were remarking. Tim was talking about his beer club.
Yeah. Somehow recovered from drinking 2 beers. I'm all right. Struggling through this morning. Just struggling through.
Are the commercials on? I wonder if the commercials that I was seeing on the app are the same ones that everybody watches on cable. You think that's the case? Was there a Guinness commercial on every commercial break that you guys were watching?
Tonight?
No. You mean the TV? On TV?
Yeah.
No. They're
I
different.
watch on the ESPN app, and pretty much every commercial breaks the same, like
Oh, yeah.
3 or 4 commercials.
Patrick, did you get that other text I sent you about
Yeah.
whenever you get a chance today, just go on the streamer from Friday and pull it?
Was it up on Friday? I assume it was, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was Monday. Y'all noticed it wasn't working.
Yep.
All right, we're back.
Patrick, you with me here?
What do you want?
Let's go Beamer. Coming back, please. All right, a little music intro. Pushing the buttons.
I think pretty high. I mean, I don't know about the rankings, but I look at the video and I'm like, man. I mean, you watch these guys as you're evaluating them and you're deciding whether or not you're going to recruit them. You watch their video, but I went back and just watched all of the video together of all of those guys today, and it's impressive, the group that we put together. And every coach stands up here on signing day and talks about, well, we filled our needs, we attacked our needs, and I really feel like we did.
Shane Beamer yesterday, National Signing Day, 4:00 press conference to talk about it was, I guess, 2 commits from yesterday. I was trying to talk to Bill about this, and I felt like you were speaking a different language than I speak, because there were 4 signings. To me, that's what matters. Who signs, right? Especially in this world of commits, where a commitment means one thing for a player and another thing for a school. I saw there was a guy, I mentioned it, I think, the other day, a high school player, offensive lineman, I think, down in Florida, who just went on Twitter the other day and said, yep, 3 days out from National Signing Day, they yanked my scholarship. I did not decommit. You hear more and more of this these days. It's always happened. You just haven't, at least I haven't heard it as easily as just going on Twitter and looking at something like that. So the commitment thing it boggles my mind. But it did look like Carolina did fill some needs yesterday, Bill. You want to break down any of the details? I've got Carolina at number 77, looking at 247sports.com, their composite recruiting rankings, putting the Gamecocks up 17 spots, I think, from where I was looking at yesterday when they were 94th. So up to 77th. And Shane Beamer was just asking the question there, where does he think the class would be ranked if recruiting rankings factored in transfers?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't, as far as that last part, where have you factored in transfers? There's no need. So many ways to attack this question. I think you start with, I start personally when I look at this recruiting class, and we haven't gotten into the other newsy part from yesterday, which is the potential hire of Montario Hardesty as running back coach. I kind of lump all that in together, and it's honestly, again, kind of like, all right, well, let's just see. I don't know. You're right. I don't look at this recruiting class and say, man, ton of instant impact guys there. I don't look at this recruiting class and say, yep, this is going to be the one that's going to turn South Carolina into a 9 or 10 win team and push them over the top, and they're going to start competing with Georgia and Clemson and Texas A&M on a yearly basis on the schedule. I think there are some players there that are intriguing. Patrick, we've kind of talked about it. Colton Gauthier, a quarterback who now, with how that quarterback room has shaken out and the future of the quarterback position with Gunnar Stockton no longer committed and now a Georgia Bulldog, I think he becomes a more interesting prospect because we all glossed over him, right? And we just went, oh, that guy, he's going to be a career backup. It's going to go straight from Doty to Gunnar Stockton, and that's going to be the quarterback battle. So Gauthier, at least I'm looking at the 24/7 sports rankings, Gauthier is the second highest recruit there behind Bam Scott, Tavarian Scott, the linebacker that signed yesterday. But that guy's interesting. Nicholas Barrett is probably the one that I'm most interested to see. Already enrolled. South Carolina doesn't have enough big physical run-stopping defensive linemen in there. They've got some guys who've got some potential, but aren't 330, 340 pounds. So I'm kind of interested to see him. And then you go through the rest of the class. TJ Sanders is a guy that Will Muschamp identified and his staff. He officially signed yesterday along with Bam Scott and Colby Fields, and then the Ladarian Craig. But Patrick, we've talked a lot about recruiting. This is not a class that I think you look at. I don't know what to expect from Bam Scott. Jimmy Lindsey, the defensive line coach, now getting 2 guys with good size, 6'5", 275 pounds with TJ Sanders, 6'4", 330 pounds with Nicholas Barrett. I don't know. I think, and then you ask specifically about yesterday, the 2 commitments, Ladarian Craig, 6'2", 175 pounds out of Mobile, Alabama, was a guy that apparently had some serious grade issues, but have gotten them corrected, picked up offers from South Carolina, Mississippi State, Oregon State in the last few weeks, as it looks like he'll qualify. South Carolina's had luck going into Alabama and getting defensive backs. Captain Mutterland, Darian Stewart come to mind. Maybe he'll be that way. And then Colby Fields, the guy who had already committed, signed yesterday, 6'1", 205-pound linebacker. We know that the Gamecocks need some linebackers and some guys who can maybe make an impact early on. That's just how I view it, Patrick. I don't know if you feel any different. It's got some interesting pieces, but again, there's nothing there that I look at and I'm like, oh, all right, this is a guy that can come in and make an instant impact.
No, not an instant impact. How many guys do you actually expect to get real playing time next year? Just Nick Barrett?
From this group,
Not counting the transfers?
yeah, from this group, I think Bam Scott's got a chance. In this recruiting class, I think Isaiah Norris. I really yeah, him. I think you've got to look. I don't know how good he is, but LaDarian Craig, just because the numbers are so thin in the secondary, those two guys stand out to me. And then I don't think it's necessarily at running back, but I could see, based on how his season went, Caleb McDowell being used in some form or fashion, because they need guys with speed, and that he does have. Now, does that mean they maybe try to move him to more of a slot receiver or use him in different situations? Obviously, if you can hang on to Kevin Harris and Marshawn Lloyd after the spring, I think that's what you're looking at now. And then Rashad Amos was a guy that I really did like there at the end of the year. He looked like a guy who might be a serviceable running back. I don't know if Juju McDowell is a guy that comes in and plays that position, but maybe he fits somewhere else on returns or, jet sweeps or something, just because he has something that not a lot of South Carolina players have right now. And that's the ability to run really fast and away from defenders.
Chris on the Facebook live stream, who cares where we're ranked in recruiting? We picked up what we needed. Stars are overrated. On the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, Jay from the Interstate says, not excited about the class. I think there are a couple of good pieces, but Beamer and staff didn't have a chance to make a major impact on this class. Excited to see how they can develop and what they can do next year. Also, can someone please explain this basketball team to me? We'll try to do that and let you have Frank Martin try to do that as well. Some of what he had to say after last night's big 6-point win at number 22 ranked Florida, the third straight for the Gamecocks in Gainesville. Kick off the second half of the show next. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Stayed up
about
kind of late last night, Tim. I think we cut off the live stream at about 9:30 is when we exited that thing last night, after the fearsome foursome that's myself, Tim Hill, Jay Phillips, and Heath Klein all jumped on to discuss the big basketball victory. I knew there was going to be a late night, so I knew to be ready to go this morning, I needed a great night of sleep. The comforting thing for me is I have a sleep number bed, and that's exactly what I got. I put the sleep number setting on 60 last night and got game-changing sleep. It helped me be ready for the show this morning. Game-changing sleep, proven quality sleep, however you want to define it, it's important in your life. And right now, that's exactly what you can get, and you can get it for a discount. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus special financing on all smart beds, subject to credit approval, minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. Only at a limited time, though, and you need to visit a Sleep Number store. 2 to choose from: one in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings, the other in Columbia, 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can always visit them on the web and check out everything, sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL. Again, proven quality sleep is game-changing sleep. You get a great night of sleep, you wake up ready to tackle the day, handle the co-workers, get the kids to soccer and dance or gymnastics, fix a great dinner, and then get another great night of sleep. That's exactly what a Sleep Number bed provides. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night's sleep is truly like.
High praise there. Let the idiots think that stars are overrated and don't matter, from our buddy. I like that. At least every other text has idiots in it. It's always a great sign. John, the answer to your question is that guy is a transfer from Georgia State, and so technically not part of the recruiting rankings. That doesn't make much sense, right? You get JUCO transfers that do count as the recruiting class, but transfers in from anywhere else do not. Odd. Sure. What about the video of, I don't know which video Craig's talking about, maybe specific individual videos or the welcome videos?
Oh, Patrick, what did you just email me?
Your spot on that segment you wanted.
All right, you put both in one thing?
Yep.
I think David says watching the commercials and Bill mumble to himself may be just as entertaining as the rest of the show.
Watching the commercials?
Thank you. You actually do the commercials?
Love when a text starts off with, let me explain something to you.
Yeah, I love that one as well.
He also just said the same thing twice in one text.
So where do we start here?
What does he mean by mumble to my, like mumble through the commercial, or mumble because I'm reading a text message and shaking my head when?
I don't know.
It is cold. It's cold. Tim, how's your garage this morning?
Chile.
Good Lord, what is the weather this morning? I need a little. That's what I need to go buy today.
What? Space heater?
So Patrick, let's come back with Frank, the one that we have not played this morning.
Cool.
Mm, 27 degrees, Craig says, at 6:15 on the way to work.
No fun. No fun.
It was like
Supposed to get up to 50.
on my way home.
Supposed to get up to 55 today, though.
What'd you say, Patrick? 25?
25 at 4 a.m. on my way home from work today.
Oh man.
I just sit in the car for 10 minutes and just let it heat up so I can actually see when I drive home.
Next Saturday, the 13th. Now I'm looking at I know it's over a week away. The high is expected to be 37, and it's calling for rain. So if you want a chance for snow, that's looking like your day. If you're Saturday the 13th.
Patrick, you win this game of lowest temperature when you were on your way to something this morning. Craig.
Yeah, it's been brutal overnight.
Waddy's in second. Fun game.
We're not a place as a team where we can be consumed with 3 games in a row at home. We got to take advantage of tomorrow. 1 foot in front of the other, 1 day at a time. The talent on our team is good enough for us to win the game. We just got to figure out to find that consistency and create that personality that we've lacked. Getting this win makes us feel good, so we can figure out a way to keep that hope and that feel-good mentality that allows you to come back and do it again tomorrow.
Frank Martin, after his 3rd straight win for the Gamecocks in Gainesville in the series. The last 5 times in this series, the visiting team has won. And Frank Martin continues to own Florida coach Mike White. I believe 6-3 against him, something like that. And this team continues to confuse. But that's what college basketball is if you zoom out. And we have a texter, admitted Clemson fan, on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Well, let me explain this thing to you. A great start to a text. 2 top 5 teams got beat last night. He's talking about Houston and Villanova. And Houston got beat by East Carolina team that was 1-6 in conference play going in. Villanova beat by St. John's, which is basically a 500 team in the Big East. It's very hard, the texter continues, to be consistent even when you have the best players. And South Carolina does not have the best. I think after being a little bit repetitive in that text, I think I got the gist of it.
So glad he explained
But to
that.
hear what Frank Martin just said, Bill, do you agree it's a shot of confidence that this team needed? Because it's one thing to beat Texas A&M. It's one thing to beat Georgia. I think it's another thing to beat Florida, especially on the road when they were playing as well as they have been playing and coming off that just brutal performance at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and none of us know how this thing is going to go. But if you look at past history, there's usually been some kind of victory like this that serves as a catalyst for some kind of big run. We kind of talked about it on the live stream last night. Last year, it looked like South Carolina was about to be left for dead. How a lot of us felt, I don't know, after the weekend, they were about to be left for dead. They lost to Stetson and then lost their first 2 SEC games. And they were playing Kentucky at home on a Tuesday night, whatever it was. Kentucky was number 10 in the country last year, and it looked like South Carolina was going to have an 0-3 conference start, which would have basically just put them so far behind the 8 ball and going back. Yeah, they beat Virginia, then they lose 3 straight. Stetson, bad, awful loss. That probably the worst loss of Frank Martin's career. Then they lose by 13 to Florida, and they lose by a point to Tennessee. They're 8-7. They're 0-2 in conference, and big bad number 10 Kentucky comes rolling in. And I think we all look at it and like, this is going to be 0-3, and they're going to be 500, and this is going to be a dead season. They beat Kentucky, number 10 Kentucky, and they used that as a catalyst to win 4 out of their next 5. And it actually was better than that. If you want to go back, they beat Kentucky and then won on a string of winning 7 of their next 9. Completely turned the corner. And then they just bombed down the finish. They're 8-4. They beat Tennessee on February 15th. They were 8-4 last year. There is reason to believe, and the same thing happened the season prior. 2018, 2019. It looked like we were going to leave this team for dead. They had an awful month. They had an awful month of December. They lose to Wyoming, Michigan, Virginia, Clemson, and it looks like they're an awful team. They're 5-7. They go to Gainesville. And they beat Florida on the Hail Mary. Who was it who threw? Was it Kotsar to Silva? Is that right? Or was it Frink? I forget who threw the pass.
No, Kotsar threw the pass, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, but they beat Florida.
Were you talking 2 years ago?
Felipe Haase.
Haase.
Yes, that a boy, Patrick. Nice
Oh,
pull.
Haase, my guy. They
Your
beat
guy.
Florida. Remember, I love Felipe Haase, and you guys are like, you're a moron.
Where'd he go?
He went to Mercer.
I don't know if you remember that one.
No, but they beat Florida they were 5-7 going to Florida. First conversation, they beat Florida, and they win 7 out of their next 3 to open up conference play, 7-3. Like there is a history of them having a win like this, whether it's in Florida or Kentucky, and that's the catalyst for a big run. Does that happen this year? I don't know. Mississippi State this weekend. Again, that's a winnable ball game, but it's also, as we've seen from South Carolina, one you can easily take on the chin by 20+. Alabama is going to be the toughest team they play left, and they play them next Tuesday at Colonial Life Arena. And the way South Carolina's playing and the way Alabama's playing, it looks like a bad matchup.
Mississippi State has gone from scoring 53 to 95 to 45 in their last 3 games.
Yeah, they're an up and down team. They're another
outrageous.
They're another great example of a team who's being wildly inconsistent. But you get that, and who knows what happens? Can you go on a run? I wouldn't bet against it. That's the part I think where everybody leans this morning. You're like, yeah, if this team was to rattle off 7 victories in their next 9, would anybody sit here and be shocked?
Yeah.
Why? There's a history of them doing it. There's
team that I watched.
History. There is a history of this exact.
I've literally watched this team limp through the season so far. If they won 7 of 9, I would be surprised.
But Patrick, you've watched that for 2 straight years.
Okay, I'd still be surprised.
Okay.
So it takes a 3-year run for you to not be surprised if these things happen. 4-year run. How long does it take?
I mean, if they beat, that means they're beating at least 2 ranked teams probably.
Already beat one.
Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee.
If they beat Tennessee, I'll be surprised.
Okay, the Alabama game, I would give you. But, I mean, there's a history of them doing – this seems to be South Carolina basketball. If you want something that's consistent, this seems to be the thing. Dig yourself a huge hole early on and then struggle to dig your way out. Struggle to dig your way. Struggle to crawl your way out. And they end up doing it.
Bill, you mentioned Kentucky. The last year kind of turning things around. Kentucky played last night at Mizzou, lost by 5. Kentucky is now 5-11 on the season. They played 16 games, 5 more than Carolina. They have the same amount of total wins, 4-5 in SEC play.
Yeah,
that sums up college basketball in 2021.
You look at this team, you look at last night, and I think you're like, all right, I think they can go on a run. Would anybody bet on them doing it? Probably not, or very few. But again, that's kind of my Patrick point, or my point, Patrick, is you look at this and I'm looking real quick, 3, 6. Somebody just hit us up. There's 8 conference games, not 9. I'm sorry, 8 conference games. 3 against ranked teams as it stands today. Number 10 Alabama, number 11 Tennessee on the road, and number 18 Missouri. Now, what could be interesting? I don't know if you guys have noticed what the Big East is talking about. Jay Wright mentioned this last week because Villanova missed a bunch of games with COVID.
Villanova?
Yeah, Villanova. Villanova missed several games with COVID. Jay Wright said last week he's preparing his team to start playing 3 games a week to have some of those makeup games put back in there.
I know South Carolina women's basketball has one back on the books, game against Ole Miss that was postponed, so that's a possibility. Frank Martin was talking about last night, or was asked about it last night, now that they've gotten into a bit of a rhythm. 3 weeks, basically, of playing, how it feels. And I think basically what I got from him is that you saw his team able to make adjustments better now that they're back into a rhythm. And certainly it's a much better place than they were in the month of December with all the COVID pause basically taking a month off. 803-404-6100. We'll continue to try to break this thing down, talk some Gamecock football in the process, a day after National Signing Day. And Will Muschamp has joined officially the coaching staff over at Georgia. I'd love to hear your thoughts. 803-404-6100. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
Waddy, I think Patrick chose wet blanket this morning, not me. I'm neutral. Neutral, I think, is fair.
Yeah, I didn't think you were being a wet blanket at all.
I feel like right there, that last segment is me trying to promote hope as much as I can. Like, hey, the last 2 years, this has happened. Yeah, I need to go get something up my mouth. It's got dry. And I'm trying to just wait till the top of the hour segment.
It will be for Vanilla. I can't even say Vanilla Nova.
Villanova.
From now on.
Villanova.
Vanilla Nova. I'm going to tell my 7 and 5-year-old that one. They'll be all over.
Vanilla Nova.
That team's not vanilla, though. They can make it rain.
Uh-oh. Here's a baby crying upstairs. Not a good sign. Not a good sign.
Did you guys see what Musselman did to motivate his team before the Mississippi State game?
No.
Capturing the pool?
No, I retweeted it. It was pretty funny. He walked up with just a UPS truck on the PowerPoint screen. He said, "What does UPS do?" You guys like deliver packages? That's right, deliver. Then he takes off his jacket. He's wearing a brown UPS shirt, and has his assistants all hand out packages to the players. And they open it up, and it says, "What'd you get?" It says, "Defensive rebounding." "What'd you get?" "Guard number 1." "What'd you get?" And every starter's got a box delivered to them with their objective for the game, what they need to deliver. I retweeted it. It's really funny. Musselman's actually hilarious. And I guess Tommy just texting everybody our
Yeah, I
Terry's
guess I'll,
tweeting it out. I went back and checked with Kerry in our thread, and no, Tommy's just sending them out to everybody.
Oh, why did somebody just post something on Twitter or something?
Kerry did. He said, courtesy of Tommy Moody.
yeah.
So Tommy just wakes up now and all right.
Wow, watching this Arkansas video right now. It's so weird to see a coach with a mask on in the locker room to me.
And they hand the packages to the players sitting next to each other with masks on when they're about to go play the game.
Thank you, Hope. Good morning to you. Yes, good to see Jay and Heath join in the just live stream madness last night.
We are about to roll in. Everybody tweet Jay and tell him that you want him to live stream his show now, too.
Let's do a Beamer comment coming in, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice job turning that thing up so people can hear it. All over it this morning.
What's the personnel that we need for those teams? Who else is out there? Me learning about our current roster here at Carolina and what we needed, which allowed us then to go into the rest of December and all of January and really attack those position needs. And we certainly did that. We were selective with the guys that we brought into this program. It wasn't just looking at the transfer portal and saying, let's go get the 10 most talented guys or whatever that we could. They had to fit the environment and the culture that we're trying to bring in here.
4 more signees added to Shane Beamer's first recruiting class. That is notably small, and that's kind of what he was talking about there. He knew that this was what it was going to be. He understood that the recruiting ranking wasn't going to be very impressive. 77 is what I'm seeing on 24/7 Sports, the composite ranking right now for the class nationally for South Carolina. It does not include transfers, though, and he's also kind of touching on that. Yesterday, it was a couple of guys who hadn't been committed who did end up signing. In Bam Scott, a junior college linebacker from that Dodge City Community College. That's been a football factory for a long time out in Kansas. He's originally from Indiana, listed at 6'3", 220. And then Ladarian Craig, the other guy that had not been committed to Carolina, I believe, the defensive back out of the state of Alabama. They list him at 6'2", 175. 2 more guys that Carolina did expect to sign and had been committed, I believe. And Kobe Fields, the linebacker from New Orleans, and TJ Sanders, the defensive lineman from Marion. Fields is listed at 6'1", 205, and Sanders listed by Carolina at 6'4", 285 as a defensive lineman there from inside the state. And one of the few guys, I guess it's he and Omega Blake, the only 2 South Carolina guys that I'm looking at. Sorry, Isaiah Norris and Marcellus Dial, also technically South Carolina guys. Bill, where do you rank this? You're the resident recruiting nerd. Where do you rank this recruiting class compared to all the others you've seen the last couple of decades while you're following this thing? It's got to be on paper at the bottom, correct?
Yeah, it's at the bottom. I think we talked about this last summer. Patrick and I really talked about it last signing day when we kind of pointed out that, look, we gave Will Muschamp a lot of credit for holding together a recruiting class after a 4-8 season in 2019, holding together a recruiting class despite the 4-8 season and despite being kind of ripped in the media by your board of trustees and your president, and he held it together. But this recruiting class was going to be a byproduct of a 4-8 season, and that's what it started with. Then you factor in COVID and not being able to get guys on official visits, you factor in another awful season of 2-8. I think by the time we got to December, then you had a coaching change, you had a late coaching hire. Team ranking wise, yeah, it's the worst one I can ever remember. It might be the worst one ever. But I guess I'm not that shocked by it. Like, it's just, this is what was going to happen with Will Muschamp, and that's why you had to make the move. That's exactly why you had to make the move. There is no surprise about what happened, what is finished with South Carolina recruiting right now.
Bill was surprised when he learned that Will Muschamp's making $300,000 as an analyst over at Georgia.
Insane.
His mind will continue to be blown. Hour 3 coming up next.
Clear.
All right.
Run upstairs here real quick.
All right, I'm going to get coffee.
Oh, Patrick, it's all on you.
Oh, yeah. Let's just yell at people.
Mock draft.
I'm just trying to let you do traffic. Might dump it up.
Muschamp's just setting his family up for future success. I mean, the entire family now is just I think Tommy Moody's really figured out how to send text messages, Patrick.
Yeah, he's fired up right now.
He is up and at 'em.
Tommy definitely wakes up at like 5 every morning, I would assume.
Probably so.
I think he's probably the only one at the station who's up right now. What time do you think Jay and Pearson get out of bed in the morning?
Pearson doesn't strike me as a person who gets out before 10.
Me neither. I don't think either of them set an alarm. They have it good. The afternoon is a cushy job. You pretty much stay up as late as you want and not set an alarm in the morning.
Yeah, I used to have a job similar to that. Yeah. What is Bobby Hebert? What you got? What's Kristen got? Bobby Hebert. Just
Bobby
people
Hebert was a
stole
quarterback.
money?
Huh?
On the live stream, Kristen said Bobby Hebert. I didn't know if that was
Related to something?
yeah.
My dad's got a great Bobby Hebert story about seeing Bobby Hebert naked.
That is a story.
There's a story.
Saints fan. Patrick's the resident Saints fan.
Oh, I'm wearing a Saints shirt. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh,
That makes sense. Yeah, my uncle, my dad's godmother that lives in New Orleans that we always visit, her husband was the dentist for the Saints back in the day, so he took him like my 10-year-old dad walking around the locker room, and Bobby Hebert shook his hand after just getting out of the shower, and my dad was like, "Ah!" terrified. Well,
That's what you do when you're a professional athlete. Just,
10-year-olds aren't. If he's listening to this, he can clarify that story. I don't know if I messed it up at all. Yeah, he was the Dennis Smith Saints for a long time.
Yeah, I think Tim was having way too much fun on the live stream last night. For a little while, I wasn't sure he was ready to cut it off.
He probably has more fun doing that than just staying home and having to. He's got a lot going on. Although the kids were probably in bed at that point, right?
Huh?
His kids were probably all in bed at that point, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Tim was just hanging out, relaxing. That was Tim's version of being at the bar with the guys last night. He had his beer club. He had his beer club beer. He was just hanging out. Once Heath and Jay got going, I looked over at Tim and he just sat back, was just kind of hanging out and listening.
Jason, I sleep right after the show ends. Although I drink 12 cups of coffee during the hours of 5 to 9 a.m., so it's hard to go to sleep.
Now, are you drinking just black coffee that's there in the studio?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody asked earlier. I'm still in the black coffee kick. I'm doing good. I'm a little agitated. I know I'm in better shape. I feel better. Like I can tell I've got bad acid reflux, but when I work out, I don't have it. But I can't get my weight to drop. I can't. I'm struggling doing that.
So I just don't weigh myself.
Yeah, I'm about to have to go down that path. I want to just get. I was at 170 this morning when I weighed myself. I always weigh myself right when I wake up. I want to get down to 165. If I get down, that's just 5 pounds, but I thought I'd be able to do it a lot quicker.
I don't think I've been that light since the 9th grade.
Yeah. You got to remember, I probably pre-divorce, I was probably up to 190.
That's the lowest I've ever weighed as an adult.
Waddy, I'm not. It's not so much. My abs look again. We realize underwear model is probably not going to happen at this point. Now, if Calvin Klein wants to call me, I'll be like Cosmo Kramer. I'll take him up on the offer. But I'm perfectly okay with that phone call never coming. I just want to be in decent shape. My family's got a history of heart disease too, so I kind of need to be somewhat realistic. I'm still getting used to it, Travis. It's just something that I haven't. I don't know if you ever get used to. It's kind of like I don't know if I could go back to drinking. I say I can't go back to drinking Coca-Cola or Pepsi. The sugar in that now is ridiculous. So I think if I go another 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know if I'll be able to go back to drinking the sweetness of coffee with any kind of flavored creamer. Yeah, I do smoke cigars. Although I don't. It's 30. I smoke cigars when it's weather friendly.
Patrick, can we go number 8 here off the top? Last call last night. Play-by-play.
Yep.
Sorry to hear that, Waddy.
Now, here's Gino and Joe Johnson. On 175. Good. Frank will be relaxed and slow to no. He like somebody else. Who's knowing this is the front end? This person. Oh, listen, I can't make it easy. 8 seconds. Trying to find the shot. Appleby sets to do a 3. Off the iron though. Off the rebound. Tap will do it. You can put stars on this one. The South Carolina Gamecocks pull off the upset in game 4 yet again, defeating the 32nd ranked Gators by a final score of 72 to 66.
Derek Scott on the call for the Learfield IMG College broadcast. You heard it right here on 107.5 The Game last night. Third straight win for the Gamecocks in Gainesville in this series. Doing it coming off their worst loss of this season at Vanderbilt, previously winless in SEC play, and knowing that Florida was playing as well as they have been, 4 straight wins, I believe it was. I felt like they had the good news or the added bonus of Keontae Johnson was there yesterday, and the news that I guess his collapse was not virus related. It seemed to be more of a positive vibe, I thought, around him and maybe his situation moving forward. But obviously, the Gamecocks up to the challenge and then some. Just talked to my 7-year-old during the break, and he watched the first half with me last night. And so he said, "Did Couisnard step it up in the second half?" And I said, "No, he didn't. He only scored 2 more points, and Carolina still won." He said, "What about Lawson?" Yeah, Lawson was really, really good. And then I told him that Seventh Woods, to me, I think was the difference in the second half, stepping up offensively when the Gamecocks really needed him, and good point guard play. And I'm sure Frank Martin would probably tell you, well, it was the effort on the defensive end that really helped Carolina win this thing. Bill, the question is, all right, what now? Or what do you take away from it, I think, for Gamecock basketball? They return home for 3 straight home games now. And I think your point in the last hour was that we maybe should expect this, because we've seen the Gamecocks go on a run in SEC play now for the last several years. Last year it was the 0-2 start, and then number 10 Kentucky came to Columbia, and Jermaine Couisnard hit the buzzer beater, and then they go on a run and win 7 of the next 9 in conference play. And now a bunch of those same guys seem to, at least last night, figure it out and give you, I think, the Carolina basketball team on paper that a lot of us expected to see a lot more of game in and game out. So where are you at as we sit here for hour number 3, Bill?
I mean, I want to see them continue. Last night was a great win, and for the 3 hours that we did the game took place and we did the live stream, and you got to watch and enjoy the game. It was fun to watch. It was fun to watch Seventh Woods, a hometown kid, have a really good game. It was fun to watch A.J. Lawson lead the team with 22 points last night. Jalen McCreary played well. Keyshawn Bryant had some monster dunks, some incredible plays down the stretch. It's fun to watch in the moment. Now you look ahead. Mississippi State, Saturday, 3:30 at Colonial Life Arena. Alabama, next Tuesday, 6:30 at Colonial Life Arena. Mississippi, 6 p.m. on the 13th at Colonial Life Arena at Tennessee on Tuesday, February 16th. So the point being is you look at what does this win mean? Is it South Carolina fans know better than anybody what it's like to get a big win and see nothing produced of it, right? Like football season has now trained South Carolina fans. Beat Georgia on the road, turn the program around. Nope, not turning the program around. Lose, 7 of your next 8 or whatever it was to finish 4-8. Lose 7 of your next 8. Beat Auburn. Looks like program is going to go in the right direction. Nope, means nothing. Lose your next 6 in a row. You know, you've seen that, and I know it's not basketball related, but they all tie together. If you're a South Carolina fan, you've seen that in the last 2 years from football. You've seen basketball make a great run last year. Basketball, I don't know if people really remember. Tim, last night we're doing the live stream, and I kind of made that comment. We were looking back at last year's schedule, and I was like, whoa, this team, does anybody remember how good this team got when they got to 8-4? Remember, again, we were talking about it earlier. Last year, they start conference playoff 0-2. Lose to Florida, lose to Tennessee. They're 8-7 overall. They're 0-2 in conference play. They beat number 10 Kentucky, and then they just went absolutely scalding hot. They went 8 of their next 10. They lost on the road at number 16 Auburn, and they lost on the road at Mississippi, to which they never win. But they got to 16-9 and 8-4 in conference. Win 8 of their next 10. We saw them get very hot, put themselves in discussion for the NCAA tournament, and then finished losing 4 out of their last 6. So what is this team going to do? Are they going to go on their run now? Is this where the team starts to come together and they get hot and they make a run and they put themselves at least in the discussion? Or was this just a Georgia-Auburn football victory where it was a nice moment for one night during the season, but everything stayed status quo? That's where I'm kind of at today. You've seen the basketball team use victories like this over the last 2 years to go on remarkable runs. They haven't been able to close the deal. Now, last year, I don't know. There was a lot of discussion going to the SEC tournament that they probably had to get to Championship Sunday to get invited to the NCAA tournament. So I'm not saying that last year's run would have put them in the NCAA tournament, but at least put them in the discussion. The year before, again, same thing, put them in the discussion. Didn't do any good, though. So we'll see. We'll see what last night means. But for 3 hours last night, it was fun to watch. You were able to enjoy it. You were able to be a fan and have a good moment. What does it mean going forward?
Raphael says, I don't trust this victory from the USC basketball team. Anonymous texter says, if I've learned anything from watching Frank's teams, it's that don't get excited after winning one game. Keep expectations low so that you aren't disappointed. Bill W. Thumbs up on the win. Free throws, please. Go granny style in the offseason if needed. Well, you heard the frustration in Derek Scott's voice with Jermaine Kustar missing one down the stretch. But Carolina was 6 out of 10 on the line last night. 60%, I think basically what they've been. Florida also 60%, but just 9 out of 15. And I think that stat, if I had to pick one, that the Gamecocks were only -3 at the free throw line. Florida only had 3 more points at the free throw line than Carolina. I think if you get that in SEC play, if the officials do allow the teams to play a little bit, and I know Gamecock fans were not happy that Florida I don't think had a foul called on them for most of the second half. I think had just one until they had to foul down the stretch. I get it that you weren't happy with that, but you have to sign up when Frank Martin is your team for an officiated game that will let you play a little bit more, especially with the lack of front court depth, and especially going against Florida last night. I think that helped Carolina in the big picture. I get it that you might have been frustrated on a few calls and the whole deal. But that plus you get a clutch performance from Seventh Woods, who we got to give some credit. We talked about him on the other side, and Frank Martin has been pretty vocal in needing better point guard play. But he was very vocal last night and saying that they didn't just bring Seventh Woods home just to have him at home and let him hang out. They thought he was a really good player. Frank's been pretty consistent about that. And to see him step up on the road against a hot Florida team, typically you would say a hostile environment. That's not the case these days with COVID restrictions being what they are for fans, but against a good team with good guard play, it was impressive for Seventh Woods, and it's quite frankly what Carolina is going to need from either him or Jermaine Couisnard, whoever's playing point guard. Trey Hannibal, throw him in the mix. They need that type of performance every night to give them a chance to go on that run that you're talking about, Bill, that we have seen in years past. And if you get that, then you have the chance. Then you got to keep having A.J. Lawson playing at the level, the all-SEC level that he's playing at. Keyshawn Bryant continuing to be a shot in the arm off the bench and good post play from both Jalen McCrary and Wildens Levesque. Then that's why I know we've caught a lot of heat from it, saying that we're just hyping up a team going into the season and it's just media hype and the whole thing. That's why the excitement has been around Frank Martin's program for the last couple of years. It wasn't just this year for sure. It was going into last year, especially because on paper, man, the pieces are there. It just hasn't come together, I think, outside of that run that you were talking about, Bill, winning 8 out of 10 in conference play last year consistently. And we've had a texter point out this morning, well, that's kind of what college basketball is. There were 2 top 5 teams that lost last night. We certainly saw it, just in SEC play the night before last when Tennessee goes to Ole Miss, coming off a win against Kansas, and then they lose to a very mediocre Ole Miss team. College basketball is odd when East Carolina at 1-6, I think, in conference play can beat the number 5 ranked team in the country in Houston last night. St. John's, a 500 team in conference play, knocks off, we're going to call them Villanova, I think, after last hour. Villanova was ranked number 3, and they lose as well. So that's what I'm taking from this. Patrick, I know you were kind of with several of these Gamecock fans, the texters that talked about, I don't trust it. I need to see more. Bill asked you the question earlier in the show, are you going to be surprised if Carolina goes on a run? And you said yes. What's it going to take for you for that surprise to go away and then kind of trust that this team is a pretty good team?
Honestly, probably this 3-game homestand, sweeping it. I mean, if you say they're only going to lose 2 games for the rest of the year, like, I've seen nothing that leads me to believe they won't just drop a random game that's an unranked team. Like, maybe when you end the season at Mississippi State, at Georgia, and then versus Arkansas, like, I've seen nothing that shows me they're not going to have a dud in the middle of there and lose one of those games. But I've also, watching the Missouri game, Missouri's front court absolutely just dominated South Carolina, and I haven't seen anything the last few games that shows me that South Carolina's front court is ready for that. June McCree didn't play in that game, but still, you got dominated by what's the kid's name? Tisdale or
Tillman.
Tillman, yeah.
Jeremiah.
So he just is probably going to feast again. I believe that. Alabama, I mean, if they go cold, maybe you can beat them. I mean, weirdly, Alabama shot 6 free throws last night and easily handled LSU, who's a really good team. They can just light it up, and I don't know if South Carolina can shoot with them. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised just because they're so up and down, and I don't think South Carolina can shoot at the level of Alabama and Tennessee. Tennessee's number 11 in the country, and that game's in Knoxville, too.
Can you believe that it won't happen, which is what you're saying, but also not be surprised that it happens?
No. I would be surprised. I don't believe it'll happen, so I'll be surprised.
Like we've seen, your points are valid. I'm not trying to argue. It's just that I've seen it happen in years past, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of what South Carolina basketball does. There's nothing that I've seen this year that necessarily promotes that. Now, we have seen them play competitively for, 35 minutes with Houston, who's a very good team. We've seen them be competitive.
I would say 20 minutes.
Okay.
They were much more competitive.
Yeah,
we saw them win last night. We saw them. You can. I don't know how you want to define the LSU game. They have that lead for 35 minutes. They look like they're in great shape, and then it gets away from them there at the end. I've seen enough to know that South Carolina is capable of the run that you just talked about. I have seen it. I haven't seen them consistently do it game to game. And Tim's pointed that out. I feel like every morning, I feel like we come in here and it's Tim going, I don't get this at all. You beat Georgia by 24, and then Georgia goes on the road and beats Auburn. You lose to Auburn by, I get it. And that's the other part is college basketball is so topsy-turvy. This is where, and I don't know if it'll pay off, but this is where having the veterans and having the experience, and that's what South Carolina is, should pay off. It should. I don't know if it will. And I think that's how we have to end every conversation. It's like, I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's what you should have. And I understand exactly where you're coming from. Again, I've seen a team that's fully capable of thumping Georgia, that's being competitive with LSU and Houston, who are solid basketball teams. And I've also, like you said, we've also seen a team who can't get out of their own way, who gives up 109 points to Auburn and loses to a questionable at best Vanderbilt team. So I understand where you're coming from. My point when I say, is it okay? Is it possible to not believe, but also to not be surprised? I think it is. Like, you've seen enough where if they won games, we'd all be like, yeah, sure, that's kind of South Carolina basketball. Get my hopes up, but then have dug the hole so deep, you're still not able to get into the NCAA tournament.
I also think part of it, my reaction is that I don't think that Florida team last night is that good. Like, Florida was on the outside looking in for NCAA tournament hopes a couple of weeks ago, got hot recently, and they're probably going to be unranked again next week after this loss. So I don't think they're that incredible. We were patting ourselves on the back for losing to LSU by 5. LSU's led by a freshman and a sophomore. LSU lost to Alabama by 18 last night, and Alabama couldn't even get to the free throw line. They're not that – they're good. They're talented, but, I mean, it's not like Alabama's all LSU. We were patting ourselves on the back for losing to a talented LSU team, but Alabama just pummeled them yesterday, and Alabama in a couple days.
I want to watch Alabama a little bit more this weekend. I've watched them some because they have some Columbia natives on the team and Jordan Bruner. and Jawan Gary, and they've got another one that I saw something that I'd never heard of, but I want to watch them more. But that Alabama team is 15-4 on the season, 10-0. There's nobody close to them in the SEC. You guys realize that? Like LSU, Arkansas, Florida are the next closest teams with 6 wins. Alabama right now is the absolute class of the SEC. You mentioned the rankings. Tennessee's 12-4, but they're 5-4 in conference play. They're still ranked 11th as of today. Now Tennessee will drop because they lost to Mississippi earlier this week. You're right. Barring Florida doing something miraculous this weekend and like hammering whoever they play, they probably fall out of the rankings. But this Alabama team right now is pretty doggone good, and I'm interested to see them next week. And if South Carolina, I don't know, South Carolina, we need to focus on the Mississippi State game. Don't ever look past the game with South Carolina right now. And you guys.
All right. Well, the question was, would you be surprised if they lose 2 games for the rest of the year? And I'm looking at Alabama. I mean, Frank can say take it one day at a time, but we as fans don't have to do that. We can look ahead because nobody's going to be. I mean, people will be happy if you win the Mississippi State game, but the Alabama game is the bigger game. And I mean, Alabama about LSU, they won 78-60 last night. They played them on January 19th and won 105-75. So in 2 games against LSU, who's a really talented team, they've scored 183 points and won by 48.
Oh no, they're
even Frank Martin took a shot basically at LSU's defense. Let's not pretend they're a good defensive team.
But that's what I'm saying. We were patting ourselves on the back for losing to LSU by only 5 points.
Yeah, no,
it's not like you beat them.
Alabama's playing well now. You know, you can also make the argument, as you pointed out, with LSU. If you're not buying LSU, the schedule leaves a lot to be desired. Not that South Carolina's a world beater, but it leaves a lot to be desired when you talk about beating Kentucky twice, Mississippi State, who's 10-9, a 4-point win over Auburn. We'll see. For the record, Alabama this weekend on Saturday, noon game, ESPN. They're at Missouri. They lost last Saturday at number 24, Oklahoma, 66-61. So just to look ahead. But I think if you're South Carolina right now, I agree with what you're saying about as fans, media. We can look ahead. We can navigate the final 8 games. But with South Carolina basketball, also, you can't look any further than the very next game against Mississippi State. You really don't know what to expect.
I think my point is South Carolina hasn't beaten a really good team this year. Like, I kind of disrespect that Florida team from that.
How many really good teams have they played?
0.
Houston? Not a really good team?
Houston's really good. Houston's really good.
Okay.
Interesting. What I'm hearing, I think, from a lot of people is guarded optimism, not going to get fully optimistic again unless a win comes against Mississippi State and Alabama. I think you get on a roll there, and then you start to feel a little bit differently, and then you start to look ahead and say, all right, what else do you need to do, and what about the COVID concerns, and how will an NCAA tournament committee take that into account? But it's going to take at least a couple of more wins to get yourself to that level of excitement. And I think that's very fair coming off the Vandy performance over the weekend, the uneven performances that you've seen so far. But again, not unique to South Carolina basketball. A bunch of you weighing in, both the live stream and the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Hope says, I saw a team last night not afraid to take the ball inside into the basket. The Vandy game, they didn't do that at all. Jay says 7th Woods only having 1 turnover was great last night. Trey, good morning, guys. It's almost as if you remove the self-inflicted mistakes and things come together. Sonny is mad that we kept him up late on the live stream. Sonny, we were done before like 9:30 last night. Man, what is late? Even Bill, as old as he's getting these days, doesn't even consider that late. Do you, Bill?
No, I just 9:30 wasn't too bad. 10 o'clock is where I would have drawn a line in the sand on that one.
Travis says, it's what's frustrating for Gamecock basketball. We see glimpses of how good Frank's teams can be, but the holes we are always already in just makes you wonder, why does this keep happening? Trey's not happy with the free throw shooting for the Gamecocks, points out that only Trey Hannibal is over 70%. And then Allen hits us up, says, I don't believe Carolina goes on a run. Last night was great, just like the Georgia football win a couple of years ago, but this team, or maybe just the Georgia basketball game he's talking about, but this team doesn't show me being consistent every game. Not being negative, just being realistic. 8-6 is what one texter says. That's when he'll start believing the hype. The Gamecocks can win 3 more in a row. I guess all 3 in the home state. And Brad says best case scenario 13-5 right now if no games get made up. Where do you go with that?
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear if Frank's hearing anything about about potential makeups. I'm trying to go back through. I think Tennessee needs to be Kentucky, Tennessee, and Mississippi. Is that right? Is that the three that need to be made up?
That sounds
Conference
right.
play. You know, and look, you'd love to have that Kentucky game. I know that you'd like to have all three just for the opportunity to try and get victories and maybe improve your standing. But we'll see if the SEC does something and tries to adjust schedules to get some of those games made up to be played. I think that it's kind of strange that we haven't heard about that. Again, the Big East is discussing that with Villanova and getting some of their games in that they've had canceled over the last month.
National Signing Day in the books. Hear what Shane Beamer had to say about it, and Will Muschamp officially joins the Georgia coaching staff. That plus plenty more basketball talk about last night's 6-point win against 22nd ranked Florida. Coming up next here, it's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. Hearing a lot about love here in the next few days, 10 days to be exact before Valentine's, just in case you needed to mark your calendar. If you want to go outside the box, don't do the traditional candy, flowers, gift for Valentine's. I suggest maybe you're like an acts of service kind of guy, and that's what your significant other really appreciates. I'm sure they appreciate a nice, clean home. Check out Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning right now. They have a great deal for you. $109 will get you 3 rooms of carpet clean when you mention me, Tim Hill. Also, I can guarantee you they will give you great results because I've seen it for myself. A couple of times they've been out to my house, done a great job cleaning my carpets, an area rug, freshened up the tiles in both the kitchen and bathroom for me, and they impressed my wife with their results. That's not easy to do. Also, their patented cleaning process using powered water, no harsh chemicals involved. I had nothing to worry about with my kids there. That's a load off my mind and something that's important in my household. Also, no leftover soapy residue. Kept my carpets cleaner longer. They can do it in your home or your business. If you're in charge of a business, you need to know that the commercial cleaning division there at Zero Res, making sure businesses clean and sanitize, working day and night at businesses all over the Midlands and following all the CDC guidelines in the process. Again, a great deal. That $109 will get you 3 rooms of carpet clean. When you mention me, Tim Hill, schedule that Zero Res cleaning today. 803-262-4020 is the number. That's 262-4020, ZeroResColumbia.com, where you can book online. It's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Oh, we're going quiet now, huh? Bill, you looking grossed.
Yeah, I was doing something.
KT, strong. Signed off early last night, had to get up at 1. And a boy, no wonder you were the first one texting in this morning. 45, that's not old, man. I'm 43. I hear you, Sonny. I hear you. Once you get in your 40s, you have to sit on the edge of the bed in the morning and warm up like an old Buick. Nice. Craig suggesting flop shots today instead of the driver, Bill.
It is cold. I am not going out over back.
You got to be good and warm and have some decent lies to hit some flop shots.
It is. We can hit the flop shots, but it is cold. We are not venturing outside.
Oh, Allen doesn't even like Spurs up because of Will Muschamp. I noticed that they have not ignored that or made an effort to get rid of that, the new Beamer regime. What do you think, Bill? Is it Spurs up sticking around?
He's got welcome home, but I think you don't want it to go away. It's a catchy little. I mean, it's something you want to use, and it's not necessarily trademarked to Will Muschamp. I mean, now's probably not a good time to start throwing it back out there, but I don't see why you can't, in a year or two, utilize it a little bit.
Hope. She's got no empathy for you, Sonny. Hope's tough. up and at them every morning, acting like babies. And then Trey really wants you to get it going, Bill. Good jump in the lake today. No, not happening. Yeah, I'm with you, David. I think that struggle well they enjoy a lot over there. Luke Day and Kimry especially.
Jeez. Hope took down everybody. You guys? Taking down everybody.
Hope Bill is very, very sensitive. You didn't even call him out by name, and he is just taking wild offense to that.
I mean, is she referring to all the people on? Hey, Patrick, did you see this about Pat McAfee? Is it McAfee?
Are you serious right now?
McAfee?
Are you kidding me? Yeah. What about him?
About him putting out the text about Andrew Luck returning to the Colts?
Yeah, it's totally fake.
He's just putting that out there for giggles?
No, that went viral yesterday.
No, why is it totally fake? Why do you put it out?
Well, the text, it was a screenshot of some guy being like, my wife's mutual friend is good friends with Andrew Luck's wife. And it was his wife saying something like, yeah, Andrew's going to meet with Jim today. And the friend was like, Jim who? She said, Jim from the Colts. And there was something like, yeah, we all know how much he misses football. He something or other. Like, if you read the text, like, they're clearly not close, and the way they were talking, it totally seems fake.
Gotcha.
But it went viral, so it wasn't him just being like, Andrew Luck's coming back. He actually said, I don't believe that Andrew Luck is coming back. With everything that he knows. I think everybody that knows Luck was talking about that yesterday and said that he seems like the kind of guy that when he makes a decision, he's pretty sure that.
Is he 32? How old is he?
Yeah, I mean, he was drafted in 2012, so he's probably 32. Yeah, sounds right.
I mean, he's got some left in him. I mean, Austin was the one that actually brought it to my attention yesterday.
He's definitely. I think if he wanted to come back, every team in the league would probably want him.
I picked Austin up, and he was on his iPad. We were going to practice, and he goes, Dad, you see this about Aaron Rodgers going to meet with the Colts? And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. He's like, oh, wait. And look. That's like, oh.
Oh, all right, we're about to come back.
Oh, one texter doesn't like that you didn't know Jeremiah Tillman's name. He's on you, Patrick.
Sorry.
Let's go Beamer about Philly needs. If you can, please.
Scheme's going to be? What's the personnel that we need for those schemes? Who else is out there? Me learning about our current roster here at Carolina and what we needed, which allowed us then to go into the rest of December and all of January and really attack those position needs. And we certainly did that. We were selective with the guys that we brought into this program. It wasn't just looking at the transfer portal and saying, let's go get the 10 most talented guys or whatever that we could. They had to fit the environment and the culture that we're trying to bring in here.
Shane Beamer, yesterday, National Signing Day. Small class for the Gamecocks. He said that he knew that's how it was going to be, the situation that he was in. And recruiting rankings do not reflect transfers coming in. And the Gamecocks have had one of the most utilized transfer portals out there. I think we had that graphic, Bill, you mentioned that one yesterday, the national graphic. The Gamecocks, it looks like maybe tied for 5th in the country or something with most transfers in at 7. It's an interesting class for sure. And we always break down recruiting rankings and all of that. The Gamecocks at 77, just as a point of reference on 24/7 Sports, the composite rankings.
I know 24/7 Sports has their class calculator. You can go back in and factor everything up. I think South Carolina finished yesterday with 13 commitments, if I'm correct. And so I went back and just looked. 13 commitments. Okay, that's what you're judged on. So if Will Muschamp doesn't get fired and you land these 13 commitments, none of which are considered big time recruits. Okay, none of the guys they brought in are I think more than mid 3 stars. All right, but they probably don't lose George Wilson, who was their highest ranked recruit. They probably don't lose Bryce Steele, second highest recruit. They had a linebacker, Trinelius Tatum, who they lost because of the firing. And I put Simeon Price in there, a running back, wide receiver out of Tampa, out of the Tampa area. 4 guys. Those 4 guys, and that would have taken you to 17 recruits. They would have had this is according to 24/7 Sports, they would have had a 186 point number, whatever, however they arrive at that. It would have put them at 48. They would have been between Georgia Tech and Arizona State. So if you retain Muschamp, those guys probably stick and you end up 48. Are you willing? And then you fill out your class with the rest of the guys like they've already landed here. Is that what people would have wanted? And I only say that also because now, like we're talking about, you add the seven transfers, and Marion Brown is probably the best one of the bunch. That's the one that I really like. The young man, Strawn from Georgia State, obviously, is a guy that has some potential. We'll have to wait and see. They're high on the linebacker, Debo Williams out of Delaware. But I mean, again, I don't know, probably all mid 3 stars. So I use that example of the decommitments just to say, yeah, I know the ranking is low. It's the lowest I've ever seen it. I totally understand. But A, you're basing it on 13 commitments. B, if Will Muschamp had been retained, you probably would have seen it be a top 50 class. That's not a good class. I'm not trying to sell anybody on, hey, class would have been really good with Will Muschamp. You probably shouldn't have made that. But I don't think you need to get overly worked up about where the class ranks right now. I think the other thing you've got to remember again is if you go back to last year's class, in South Carolina is not the only one who gets to do this. Everybody gets to do this, but there's a lot of guys in last year's class that helped make it a top 25 class that are going to be freshmen again. You're going to be able to kind of play around with the roster over the next several years to see who develops and who doesn't and who can move on. If you're going to have one bad year, and it's a very bad year, I'm not trying to sell anybody on that in terms of recruiting rankings, but if you're going to have one bad year, this was the year to do it. You get very lucky that this was it. But you've got guys like Tonka Hemingway, Alex Hunley, again, Jordan Birch, if he develops. You've got some really good players in last year's class. Zaquandre White is a guy who, look, last year didn't count against him. It didn't count against him. He came in behind the 8 ball, didn't help like everybody thought maybe he was going to be able to. But that year doesn't count against him. Maybe he moves to safety this year. Maybe he sticks at running back. But that's a guy who gets an extra year. Joey Hunter is a guy that would have been one of the higher rated players in this class, but he was a mid-level 3-star last year. He's technically a true freshman again. So, look, you can't – Shane Beamer has got to do better on the recruiting trail with this class, the 2022 class. I'm not trying to say that you can do this every year, but you're catching a little bit of a break here with what could be just a crushing recruiting class because of the numbers, because of basically, let's say no impact players. You get a little bit of a break. You get a little bit. You've got to make up for it, though, with the next class, and everything will be fine.
Also, clearly a bad year for Alabama to have the greatest class in the history of recruiting.
Bad for everybody else, you mean?
Why?
I'm just kidding. If it's a good year for South Bend, have a bad class.
No, because look, a lot of those guys for Alabama, they're going to be 3-and-done players. The guys
the graduating class for Alabama right now.
All I'm saying is, and for Clemson too, like those guys are so good.
Yeah, I was kidding.
I know you were.
Okay.
Your sarcasm didn't hit there.
Because the graduating class for Alabama is probably the second greatest recruiting class in the history of.
It's just you got
your sarcastic tone sounds a lot like your bitter tone, Patrick.
It does.
Yeah, they're the same. They come from the same place.
Craig says hopefully this staff is better at development. Craig, this staff has to be better at development than the previous staff, or it'll end up being another new staff. That's just where South Carolina football is. Bill, the other report yesterday, one of the other reports, talked about Montario Hardesty, former Tennessee running back, reportedly going to be the next running backs coach for Carolina. Any surprise there that his name has popped up out of this most recent search?
Given that I had no clue that he was coaching at all, yeah, there was a bit of a surprise yesterday when I saw his name. I mean, I guess give credit again to Shane Beamer for keeping the searches more quiet, as opposed to how that defensive coordinator search went when there was Derek Mason and Kevin Stills' names all over the place and people were tracking a plane to Mississippi State. But we'll see how it works out. I don't. There's not enough of a resume there with Montario Hardesty for me to go, okay, that's a great hire. Man, it's really questionable. I don't understand. Like I saw a bunch of people. Was it yesterday or Tuesday that people were just shredding Les Miles for his offensive coordinator hire, Mike DeBoer. Like I don't know. I don't know if you necessarily like rip this one. It's kind of the same thing as the leap of faith that Indiana Jones had to take in the Last Crusade. There, you got to hope that Shane Beamer is found the guy that's an up and comer, is going to be hungry and be able to recruit the state of North Carolina and help get that continue to produce in that running back room.
Hardesty's been at Charlotte the last couple of years. Was at Tennessee before then, Norfolk State, and Florida Atlantic also on his coaching resume here in the last several years. Played a few years in the NFL and was at Tennessee from 05 to 09. Certainly a name that is familiar to Gamecock fans, but a bunch of them have been a bunch of big-time running backs at Tennessee through the years. Maybe not so much recently, but we remember the perennial powerhouse years where it was an NFL running back factory. Hardesty a few years after that, really, I guess, but still a good career. Will be interesting to see if and when that thing goes official for Shane Beamer and company. Also interesting to see what his predecessor was up to yesterday, officially announced as part of Kirby Smart's coaching staff. Will Muschamp joining as a defensive analyst. And Bill, you were especially interested in the salary number attached to his name after the settlement went official with the Gamecocks just a few days, maybe 10 days ago. $12.9 million is what the athletics department paid Will Muschamp in his buyout, and now he'll make $300,000 as a defensive analyst on Kirby Smart's staff. Have you recovered from that number, Bill? Reevaluating your life.
That's gonna go up there with things that I hear right now. That leads the way of crazy things I've heard in 2021. Real quick, Montario Hardesty. I wanted to go back and look, and it was because I thought I was right on this. My lasting memory of Montario Hardesty is going up to watch South Carolina play Tennessee on Halloween night back in 2009, and Tennessee broke out the black uniforms, and I thought it was Hardesty, and it was. Ran all over South Carolina, 23 carries, 121 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That was neat. But
what's the final score on that one since you looked at
31-13. That was a Lane Kiffin game. They broke out the black. South Carolina was ranked. South Carolina was number 22 at that time in Tennessee. I was up there, night game. It was a blast. It rained, I think. Awful. But Will Muschamp, that's amazing. $300,000. You guys realize, and I guess maybe I don't know if he's worth it. Will Muschamp is an analyst at Georgia this year. $300,000 is making more than Joe Cox made as the wide receivers coach at South Carolina last year, and he's almost doubling it. Joe Cox made $180,000 as the wide receiver coach at South Carolina last year. Will Muschamp's making $300,000 as a basically guy that walks around. I think his job is to make sure that the markers all work in the rooms.
Making more than poor Eric Kimry.
Hey, that's actually, there you go. I was trying to think of one. He's making more than Eric Kimry.
Yeah.
50% more. It's pretty significant, man.
Yeah.
Earlier, if you didn't catch it earlier today, just to know the evolution of Bill's thought process here. He's like, yeah, he'll probably make $80,000-$90,000, something like that.
No, I said he could make that. I was like, he probably took a pay cut because he just got $13 million. So he probably went to like, pay me $30,000. It'll be cool. I was only 10 times off.
Oh, that's all.
They put that number out.
Well, they have to. In public university, I don't think they
still have to put Mike Bobo. To my knowledge, have you guys seen Mike Bobo's number yet at Auburn?
Nope.
They do things differently at Auburn. You don't know that.
Oh, you're right. Georgia's completely above board.
Bill's going to try to get over that number. We'll all try to soak it in and digest it.
Do the math on it. There's a lot of people listening that it will take, 4 or 5 years to make that. And Will Muschamp just got fired. And is it a check? How does that happen? With $12 million, 13, is it one check? Like, do they hand you a check and at the top it's got University of South Carolina, it's got the little address, and you're trying to fit all the zeros in the little box?
What if he requested?
You take
what if he requested a winner's check?
Bank and they're like, well, sir, we're going to have to put a 10-day hold on this to make sure the funds are in the account.
It's a world that most of us will probably never live in.
And he quickly goes over to Georgia. Just $300,000.
I think it has to be direct deposit because didn't Leonardo DiCaprio teach us that in Catch Me If You can only put a certain amount of payroll checks can only go up to a certain amount.
I think you're right. Well, good to see
They
all
probably
the
changed
movie
the
watching.
rules since then, though.
That's Patrick Perrette taking his rules of finance from Hollywood. Dramatic conclusion of the show coming up, including a comment from Frank Martin that even he admits this is a roller coaster on a completely different level after last night's 6-point win at number 22 Florida. That's next. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
Clear.
Oh, man.
I cannot wrap my head around $200,000 to go be an analyst.
Somebody did mention earlier he did get offered the old defensive coordinator job at Texas. Guess that one had a nice number attached to it.
I mean, he has absolutely no pressure on him whatsoever this year.
Craig, that's just rude. $300,000. That's almost as much as George Pickens got.
I can't.
Wasn't this the George Pickens sprayed that guy with water and got ejected, or was that last year?
That was this year. Yeah, it was Pickens. He didn't get ejected, just a 15-yard penalty.
No, they didn't get ejected. No. That was funny. Not as funny as the shoe throw in Florida. But that was funny.
Man, what a show full of content this morning off National Signing Day and that win last night. And Muschamp.
What a show it's going to be tomorrow.
All Super Bowl, 3 hours.
All Super Bowl.
Patrick's in control.
Yeah, anytime Tim tries to change the subject, he'll turn his mic off.
I was going to say, you're in complete control. That's honestly, we need to see if Chris Logan will take over. We'll do an extra edit. It's the Patrick Perrette Show for 3 hours.
We're gonna do nothing but the weekend bumper music.
Oh, good.
Trey's got a great point about Muschamp. He does frequently say we'll have to look at the tape. He is built for that job.
He was a 5-star recruit if we're going by that theory. He is well worth it.
Oh, Frank mentioned that the other day. Did you guys hear that? I want to get that in our intro. He's like, You guys got to hate when coaches say, let's look at the tape. What do you mean you got to go look at the tape? It was awesome.
Shots.
All right. Jason wants his fix, Patrick. Hit him up. What's the deal with the barber and the COVID situation there with the Chiefs?
They're good. The barber, there were close contacts to a barber that tested positive, I guess, but they got all positives during the week, so I think they're good to go.
Good to go.
It was one of their backup centers, I believe, and then Demarcus Robinson, who should be good to go. I need to look up more songs by the weekend, so I have a full set of show.
Yeah, we need a good cue.
My book doesn't have the what song will the weekend open his performance with, unfortunately.
Blinded by the light. What is it? Light? Blinded?
Blinded by the light. He's not going to open with that, though. He's going to open with Starboy. I bet he opens with Starboy. That's where my money's going. We're back.
Let's do Frank, roller coaster, straight in. Thank you.
Download the TuneIn app so you can take 107.5 The Game with you wherever you go. And now, back to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
I don't even know if roller coaster is the right word. It's something bigger than that. It's been like nothing I've ever experienced professionally. You know, I've dealt with some heartache and craziness in my personal life, but professionally, I've never dealt with what we're dealing with right now and trying to manage it. This is, you know, some coaches might say, "Yeah, I got this figured out." I'm just telling you, I think great leadership is and you know, when I speak with the guys, I tell them, like, I'm trying to figure this out too now.
Frank Martin, last night after the 6-point win at number 22 Florida. Carolina coming off, getting blown out at Vanderbilt, who hadn't won an SEC game. But for whatever reason, whenever Frank Martin and Mike White, the Florida coach, match up, it is advantage Frank Martin in a big way. The most notable one being the Elite Eight game several years ago, 2017, to get Carolina to that Final Four. But it has been pretty consistent, and now it's 3 in a row in Gainesville for the Gamecocks. Oddly enough, the Gators have won 2 in a row in Columbia, so the visiting teams won 5 straight in this series. And A.J. Lawson leading the way last night for the Gamecocks. Do we just take him for granted, Bill, or is it because we've seen kind of his unevenness and all the projections that he's an NBA guy that maybe we don't appreciate what he does as much or just take it for granted? Is that where we are with Lawson?
He's not an in-state guy. This is my opinion.
Not an in-country guy.
He's not. Yeah. Well, let's just go. Like I think if you talk about great Gamecocks that have come through, B.J. Mackey, Devin Downey, Sendarius Thornwell are 3 that instantly just come to mind. Yes, Alex English, 40 years ago before I was born. I'm just talking about the last 30 years, Tim. Like guys that people have, like, not an in-state guy, and with Mackey, you had the SEC championship. With Downey, it was just he was electric. He was electric to watch play. I don't know, maybe Downey's signature moment is the shot against Kentucky up in Rump Arena. Is that fair?
I'd say knocking off number 1 undefeated Kentucky at Colonial Life Arena.
Yep, fantastic that night. And then Sendarius was part of a Final Four run, and what was it? Was AP Player of the Year or Coaches Player of the Year? He got one of them. You know, it's kind of like Lawson. Lawson to me is kind of like Jake Bentley in a way. What's his moment? What is it that defines him as a player? You're right. His arrival at South Carolina kind of was odd. It was last second. He was technically supposed to be a senior in high school, but he came on in. He's been a really good player. But what is it that he's done that stands out? Has it been an incredible dunk that you remember? Has it been a game-winning shot that you remember? Has it been carrying his team to an NCAA tournament bid? You know,
he's also emotionless. I think that's the bigger thing. The fact that he's not bigger than that he's not in-state. He's not vocal at all.
Well, yeah,
you never see emotion from him.
That's a good point.
Well, there's one thing to not show emotion. There's another thing to not show leadership. And Frank, I thought it was notable last night that he said it was Bryant and Kuznard, I think, recently, who have been the loudest voices in practice. He doesn't mention Lawson in there. And I think that might be what I didn't even consider, Patrick, about how we think about players and give them credit and talk about them kind of from the outside looking in. I think that is a big piece of it. You're right. And
I mean,
what Carolina's got to have moving forward is more of that play from him, but clearly he's not going to change his personality. I think the crucial part for the Gamecocks in being more consistent and being consistently good is that point guard position. Do you agree, Bill, after what we saw from Seventh Woods in the second half yesterday?
They've got to get consistent point guard play. Seventh Woods has got to continue with that, and if they do, I think there's talent there to make a run, but it starts with either Cousineau or Seventh Woods stepping up and being consistent for the next 8 games.
3 games at home in a row, starting with Mississippi State this weekend, Alabama after that. I think we've had these stretches before, Bill, where I feel like we've said this is going to tell the story of the Gamecock season. This one's going to tell it for me here in 2021, whether Carolina can kind of regain any kind of shred of hope for the postseason, or it's going to be more uneven, a lot like the football seasons from the last couple of years, where you get one really signature win like this one I think is at Florida on the road, and then you can't back it up. You can't build on that positive momentum.
Yeah, there's going to be no shame in going 2-1 because Alabama's probably going to be favored by 7 or 8 points. But there's going to be no shame in going 2-1. But that's exactly what you have to go. I mean, you absolutely have to go that over the next 3. They're all at home. Mississippi State and Mississippi are very winnable games. Now they're very losable too. I'm not saying South Carolina's going to be heavy favorites, but we'll continue to see where South Carolina basketball takes us as we go through February.
It's been a fun ride. It was a fun ride to watch last night and to try to break down this morning and try to figure out if we're being negative, if we're being realistic, overly optimistic. We probably hit all of those at some point today. We did not go as ADD as Sonny on the live stream says, okay, guys, real quick, Android or iPhone, and why?
I don't know. I'm looking at the Powerball right now. I think if you hit Powerball, you still wouldn't get as much money as Will Muschamp's gotten in the last 3 weeks.
So bitter. It's been fun, though. Dan Patrick Show coming up next. Thanks for listening to the early game here on 107.5 again. All right. That was a fun one.
It was lively. We had a fire. So tomorrow we'll get a Happy Patrick, right? Because it's a Super Bowl show. It's
Yep. You can tell already. He's pumped.
player props.
I was happy today.
It's debatable.
He came in strong.
You were energetic. Happy. I would say you were energetic. Happy is a not the term I would use, but energetic. You definitely weren't sleepy.
Thanks, Jay. Hope you do as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in on the old live stream. Good times. And, Patrick, this is where you have to give your plea to contact everyone you know to subscribe to the YouTube page, right?
Yeah, please subscribe to the YouTube, make burner email accounts, tell all of your family members to subscribe. We've gotten to 200 in 2 weeks. I can't wait another 2 months for us to get to 1,000. That's way too much.
Do it for Patrick, people.
We're over 200?
Yeah, we're 201.
Hey, buried the lead. That's massive, man.
That's
That's
pretty
awesome.
good.
Yeah, but it's completely stalled out because we're the only show that's lobbying people to do it.
That's fine. That means it'll be our YouTube page. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but we can't make money on it if we don't have 1,000 subscribers, Bill.
1,000?
Yes.
That means it's just going to take us 10 weeks, Patrick.
I know, and I can't wait 10 weeks.
Thank you, Mark, for the note. We'll do our best to get the audio as good as we can. Again, trying to get the show audio plugged in. We should be able to do that. We just need a little cooperation with some coworkers or a coworker.
You know what that clicking could be, Mark?
Mark says it's us typing.
Yep, I was going to say that's Tim. That's exactly what it is.
And Mark says no, he doesn't think so. Oh, you guys can battle it out in your own audio live stream forum.
Tim is a heavy typer clicker.
Do have a heavy typing finger. No doubt about it. It's been a burden to carry that my entire life. All right, guys. Patrick's ready to roll. He's got things to do. He's got a nap to take.
Yeah.
And Bill's cleaning up there.
Well, you do these headphones for long enough that the cord gets kind of kinked up or whatever, so I'm letting it unravel.
Jason is encouraging Patrick to wear an NFL jersey tomorrow. I don't think my 7-year-old's Alvin Kamara jersey is going to fit me. Maybe the 5-year-old's Christian McCaffrey jersey. I'll get them in here if you want kids with jerseys. It's going to be a fun one tomorrow. See you guys.
All right, later.
See ya.